Hello, chat. I almost wanted to sing After the Fire for you guys. Come on the screen, like, don't turn around. Oh, oh, oh. Shisha. The commissar's in town. Oh, oh, oh. Anyways, welcome to the show, chat. Welcome to the show. Karen Reed trial, version 2.0, the deuce. No pun intended for Karen Reed there. No pun intended at all, although it's funny. If you know, you know, chat. If you know, you know. But yeah, day 27. Day 27, Jeremy Roenick's number. If you happen to be a Blackhawks fan, as I was. I loved Jeremy Roenick when I was a kid. Day 27 of Jeremy Roenick, Karen Reed. We are there. We are there, chat. We are there. It's going to be a half day. We're going to go through this. I am giving you a programming note right now, chat. We are going to finish this. We will do 1 hour. 1 hour of locals here on, or members only here on YouTube. And then after that, we are going to go over to locals, and we're going to watch Tread. Because you know what's today? Uncle Marv's anniversary. When Uncle Marv went buck wild in Granby, Colorado. So that will be the game plan tonight, chat. By the way, guys, if you guys are new, my name is Sean, also known as Potentially Criminal. I'm an attorney in the Cleveland, Ohio area. And yeah, so you want to know about my supplemental briefing? Well, I mean, got done with a hearing and got done with a motion for custody. A guy was seeking custody or visitation. I'm sorry. He wanted visitation for a kid. I was representing the mom. And we got done with everything. And I'm like, well, Your Honor, would you like any briefing? Not even thinking about it. She's like, yeah, it'll be due by the 30th. And I'm like, fuck, I just made more work for myself. So I was like, I almost wanted to be like, no, it's your fucking problem. But for some reason, I volunteered to do extra work. So aren't I smart? So there we go. We could brief that issue. You always hope they never take you up on it. But it looks good. Hashtag says I'm on a flipping plane again. Well, there you go. Let's see here. All right. Blackhawks. Yes, the Chicago Blackhawks. One of the original 6 teams in the NHL. Wings forever. I was always a Wings fan, but I liked, like Chris Chelios and Jeremy Roenick. They were pretty fucking good. You had Eddie Balfour as goalie. They had some pretty cool dudes on the Blackhawks. Also, I like the roll jerseys. But yeah, I mean, overall, yes, still a Wings guy. So, Blue White Sims is do a solid and hit the like button. Yes, guys, please hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't yet. All right, real quick, we got 2 things to get out of the way here. Erica Thorpe says for $10. Thank you, Erica. Says buy a super chat for more XP points. I can't condone that, but if it does, it does. I'm not in charge of that. Be based. Well, that would make you based. The more super chats you do, chat, the more based you are. That I can confirm. And wish the Sandwich Man a happy birthday. It is not my birthday, but thank you anyway. We're 2 months out. Katie for $4.99. Thank you, Katie. Says congrats on your coming out. Well, thank you. The cried. Oh, it must have made your birthday that much more special. Now you can really enjoy a Pride Month. Yay! Well, you know they say it's like, what do gay horses eat? Hi. So you might say, wow, Sean, you did that very well. You saw him play at the Forum in Montreal, yes. Chelios was a kid. Chelios played on the Blackhawks for a while. Don't you try to mess with me here, man. Don't you do that. He had a cups of coffee everywhere. He's 63 now too. That's oof. But yeah, while we're at it, because I gotta set KRM straight. I gotta set KRM straight here. We got to do this check. Chris Chelios, 63 years old. Oh, God, that's crazy. Played for Les Habitants, the Blackhawks, the Red Wings, and the Thrashers. 1981 draft. That's crazy. But there you go. So it wasn't just on the Canadians. But you guys, was this story based? Yes.
Was this story based? Yes.
Also, let me know if that was too loud, Chad. I didn't mean for it to be super loud there. Let me know if I need to fix that one. Yes, he was a franchise player. Yes. He's from Chicago. Yeah. All right. It's time, chat. Let's go. Karen Reed, Carry on Red, day 27. Let's do this. Let's be honest. Okay. Also, chat, just so you know, by the way, we have a Chili to Castro filed a crazy new lawsuit we'll be covering coming up one of these days. So Chili's back in the news. And we also have 1.3 speed and closed captioning. So here we go, chat. Here we go. Kapow. Don't turn around. Shh.
Come in.
All right.
Left yesterday. Thank you very much. So is there a new witness this morning?
Yes. Good morning, Your Honor.
Morning.
The defense calls Brian Laughlin.
Okay.
So you're gonna step up, take the clerk, and raise your right hand.
Tell me, sir, the evidence given to the court and jury in the case evidence for the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Good morning.
Good morning.
May I proceed, Your Honor?
Yes.
Good morning, sir. In a good loud voice, would you please state your name and spell your last name?
Sure, it's Brian Loughran, Loughran.
In what town do you live, sir?
I live in Canton.
Where did you grow up?
In Canton,
How long have you lived in Canton?
all my life.
Did you attend Canton Public Schools?
Yes, I did.
Through which grade?
I graduated from Canton High School,
What year did you graduate?
1990.
Do you have brothers and sisters?
Yes,
How many?
I have two brothers, one sister,
What are their names?
Christopher, Michelle, and Michael.
And where do you fit in the order?
I fit in between Michelle and Michael.
Right now,
You're the
show
second
her.
youngest.
Correct.
How old is your brother Michael?
Michael is 53.
What does he do for work?
He owns his own driving school, and he was a member of the select board.
And you say he owns his own driving school. In which town?
Canton,
And you mentioned that he's a member of the select board. For which town?
town of Canton.
And what is the select board in Canton?
It's the governing body for the town.
Having grown up in Canton, are you familiar with the Albert brothers?
Yes, I am.
Which ones?
All of them.
Can you name them?
Brian, Chris, Brendan, Keith, Kevin, and Tim.
Of those Albert brothers, whom do you know the best?
Chris.
How close in age are Chris and you?
Very close. I believe I'm 2 years older than Chris.
How did you become familiar with Chris?
I went to elementary school, I went to middle school, and then he graduated from a different high school.
Was there any other relationship between the two of you beyond being classmates?
Yes, eventually I ended up working for Chris, delivering pizzas.
How old were you approximately when you started delivering pizzas for Chris Albert?
About 26.
Do you remember the name of his pizza establishment?
Yes, D&E Pizza,
Where is that located?
Canton Center.
How many years did you deliver pizzas for D&E Pizza and Chris Albert?
About 8 years.
Prior to January 29th of 2022, were you friendly with Chris Albert?
Yes,
You previously mentioned that your brother Michael is a town selectman. What political office does Chris Albert hold?
Chris Albert is also a select board member.
And Chris Albert is Brian Albert's brother, obviously.
Yes,
So your brother and Brian Albert's brother are both town selectmen together.
correct.
How did you become familiar with Kevin Albert?
Through D&E Pizza and
And I'm
interact.
sorry, you said through D&E Pizza?
Yes, and interactions with the DPW doing details and stuff.
Okay. First, with regard to D&E Pizza, you said there were interactions with Kevin Albert relating to that pizza shop. But what type of interactions?
He would come in. I'd be, friendly. I'd say hello. Or there'd be deliveries to the Albert's residents, and I would, make those deliveries.
You mentioned the DPW. I didn't ask you what you did for work, sir. What do you do?
I work for the DPW. I work in the highway division.
And the DPW stands for Department of Public Works?
Yes.
For which town?
Town of Canton.
And what are your duties, or strike that, around January and late January of 2022, what were your duties for the DPW?
I would plow.
And how long had you worked, or to this day, how long have you worked for the DPW?
20 years.
Now, as a DPW employee, how much contact do you have with the police department?
We have varying jobs that require police details.
So you're doing work, and there has to be a police officer there to oversee and direct traffic and things of that nature?
Correct.
How often have you worked in that capacity with Kevin Albert from the Canton Police Department?
About a dozen times.
And what was the nature of your relationship with Kevin Albert before January 29th of 2022?
Through D&E Pizza, I would. The Alberts usually had family functions on a weekend, and I would make deliveries.
Can these last few jurors hear the witness? I just want to make sure everybody can hear. Okay. Now, what was how did you become familiar with Brian Albert?
Again, through D&E Pizzas and deliveries.
Deliveries where?
To his residence.
Do you know what his residence is or what the address is?
I do.
What is it?
34 Fairview Drive.
What was your understanding of what Brian Albert did for a living?
My understanding, he was a police officer for the city of Boston.
Now, you say that you made deliveries to 34 Fairview Road. How often? And was there a particular day of the week that you delivered more than others?
It's usually once a week, and it was usually on Sundays.
And that was to 34 Fairview Road?
Correct.
As of January of 2022, how many decades had the Albert family lived at that address, if you know?
As far as I couldn't give you a year, but I know as long as I've been in Canton, they've lived at that residence.
All right. Now, directing your attention to January 28th and 29th of 2022, were you on duty as a snowplow driver that night and early morning?
Yes.
When did you learn that you would be on duty?
Early January 28th, we were notified that we had a 2:30 start time.
And that would be 2:30 a.m.?
A.m.
On January 29th?
Yes.
How did you learn that you would be on duty?
Our supervisors for the DPW would notify us.
Who was your supervisor?
William Walsh.
And what instructions were you given in terms of when you were to report?
We were to report at 2:30 in the morning and prepare our trucks for plowing.
What time did you actually get to the DPW that morning?
I got there about 2:15.
And when you say you got there, where did you go?
160 Bolivar Street.
And is that Bolivar?
Yes.
What is 160 Bolivar Street?
It is the DPW garage.
And when you go there, is there a requirement that you punch in?
Yes.
Did you punch in those early morning hours?
Yes.
Who was there when you got there?
Other DPW employees and William Walsh.
William Walsh being your supervisor?
Yes.
Were you assigned a specific route those early morning hours?
Yes.
What route was that?
Route 11.
What streets does Route 11 encompass?
Route 11 encompasses Cedar Crest from Dedham Street to the end. It encompasses everything from Kings Road to Chapman Street.
And streets in between as well?
Yes.
And what street is in between Cedar Crest and Chapman?
There would be Spring Lane and Fairview.
What truck or snowplow were you assigned in those early morning hours?
I was assigned truck 30.
And does that have a particular nickname?
Yes, it's considered a Franken truck.
You said Franken truck,
Yes.
like Frankenstein.
Yes.
Why was it nicknamed Franken truck?
It was a very uncomfortable truck, and it had a lot of mismatch of parts to make it more convenient for the drivers.
And Chad, if you're not aware, this guy Lucky testified the first trial as well. Probably one of the most honest people in the city. Although Turtle Boy's released some information that's a little sus about him, so.
I'd like to show you some photos, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Loughran, I've placed 4 photographs in front of you. If you could just familiarize yourself with them and look up at me when you're done. Do you recognize what is depicted in those photos?
Yes, I do.
And did you take those photos
I did.
at my request?
Yes.
What do those photos depict?
They depict the inside of truck 30 or Franken truck.
And is there one that actually depicts the outside from the front as well?
Yes.
Do
Yes.
those photos fairly and accurately depict Franken truck as it looked on or about January 29th of 2022?
Yes.
I would offer those, Your Honor.
I have no objection to any of the photos.
All right, thank you.
Perhaps they should be marked with the next exhibit number A through D.
Yes. And once that's done, you can feel free to publish.
Thank you very much.
It's 211A through 211D.
Thank you. And with the court's permission, Mr. Wolf, if you would publish them one at a time in the order we discussed. I imagine that is 211A, Madam Court Reporter.
Ms. Gianetti, why don't you take the photos so you'll know where they
Oh,
are?
great idea. Okay, could you explain what 211A depicts for this jury?
That is the front of truck 30, Franken truck. And it's depicting the two mirrors on the right and left side of the fenders.
Okay. What about the next one, please, Mr. Wolf? Can you identify, this is 211B, sir,
Yes, that's the inside of the Franken truck looking out the windshield.
as if you were seated in the driver's seat?
Correct.
Next photo, please. This is 211C. What does this depict?
This is depicting on the range that I would see seated in the front seat, looking out the windshield, and depicting how much I'll be able to see.
Okay, and this would be more toward the left side in front of you as you're seated in the driver's seat?
Correct.
All right, next photo, please. This is 211D. Could you explain this to the jury?
Again, I'm sitting in the front seat of the Franken truck, and I'm taking a picture out the right side of the windshield, again, depicting on how much I can see out it.
Thank you. Okay, we can take those down and put the lights on. Okay, so you previously testified that you got to the garage about 2:15 a.m. on January 29th. Could you explain to the jury, what do you do when you get there at 2:15 a.m.?
So at 2:15, we do a simple circle check to make sure that there are no defects with the truck. We go ahead and we make sure it has plenty of diesel. And then I put, any supplies that I may have for the night, planning on an overnight shift. And then I get in the truck and I proceed to my route.
And what type of supplies are you talking about, sir?
Any types of drinks, food, anything, snacks.
Preparing for a long night?
Yes.
The circle check, does that mean what it sounds like, where you sort of take a circle around the vehicle?
Yes, we're trying to make sure that the truck is safe, that there is no defects that would hinder the job ahead of it of being able to plow.
And when you did the circle check in those early morning hours, was there anything unusual that you found?
None.
Were you comfortable driving the snowplow that night?
Yes,
And you mentioned that you make sure it's filled with diesel fuel so you're good for the night.
correct.
Now, what lighting is there on the truck facing outward?
I have 4 lights. I have the initial headlights, and then I have 2 plow lights that are on either side of the fenders.
And
And then I have marking lights, and then I have work lights in the back for the sander.
okay, if you recall the one photo that showed the truck from the outside, were the 2 plow lights visible in that photo?
Yes, they were.
Were the headlights visible in that photo?
Yes, they were.
Could we display that one more time, Your Honor, to have him point that out? Is there a pointer there, sir?
No, there is not.
Okay. Could you describe on 211A where those plow lights are?
Plow lights are just above the grill on the right side and left side.
Okay. And would it be fair to say the plow lights appear to be a clear lens and then an orange lens on either side?
Yes,
And the headlights, sir, where are those located?
they are to the right and left of the grill, and they're underneath.
Okay. And those are located just to the right of the grill in terms of as we're looking at 211A?
Yes.
Okay, we can take that down and put the lights back on. Now, do you recall whether or not, oh, strike that. You also mentioned marking lights. Where are those?
Marking lights are on the top of my truck, along with the beacon light on top of the truck.
And what is a beacon light?
Beacon light is exactly what it looks like. It's a light that just illuminates and it goes around in circles.
And the marking lights, what do they do?
They're similar to driving without your headlights. They're just there to mark the truck so that it's more visible for residents who may be driving and not paying attention.
And where does the lighting face those marking lights?
Front.
Okay, so in terms of the light that strictly goes toward the front, you have marking lights, plow lights, and headlights, correct?
Correct.
Do you recall whether, when you did your circle check, you checked out whether those lights were all working?
Correct.
And were they working?
Yes.
When all of those lights are on, how bright is it in front of your truck?
Extremely bright, almost if I had a spotlight.
And that's facing straight out.
Correct.
What about facing diagonally out front?
Again, as far as the lights will illuminate.
And then on either side, directly out to the side, how far can you see?
About 5-6 feet.
Okay. So you see more when you're looking straight out and then diagonally out, correct?
Correct.
You can see farther?
Correct.
Now, how about in terms of you being situated in the vehicle? How high up is the driver's seat?
Driver's seat is an air ride seat, so it can adjust accordingly.
What is an air ride seat?
It is adjusted by air, and it can go up or down depending on the driver's.
And how long did it take you to do the circle check, to put your snacks in the car and water, and to make sure the car or the truck is filled with diesel fuel?
About 5 minutes.
All right. So if you get there at 2:15, is it fair to say that you're ready to go on the road somewhere around 2:20 or 2:25 a.m.?
Correct.
And when you did start to go out on the road at around that time, how was the seat adjusted?
I adjusted the seat up so that my knees would hit the bottom of the steering wheel.
How big is that steering wheel on the truck?
It's fairly large. It's larger than a regular passenger vehicle. It's very large.
As of January 29th of 2022, were there any obstructions on any part of the windshield that would prevent you from having a clear view in any direction through the windshield?
No.
Once you got into that truck in those early morning hours, how far could you see in front of your truck?
As far as my eyes would let me see.
And how far could you see diagonally?
Diagonally, probably, again, as far as my eyes would let me see.
All right. Now, you get on the road. When you plow, is there a particular method that you use?
Yes.
Describe that.
I start in the middle of the road and work to the right, angling the plow to the right.
Are you familiar with the term ring row right?
Yes.
Could you explain that to the jury, please?
Sure. Ring row to the right is the amount of snow that's coming off the plow, creating a row. We angle everything to the right so that it does not impede on traffic on the left.
Right. So if you had gone in the other direction, you'd be putting snow right in the opposite lane of travel, right?
Correct.
So you always go to the right.
Correct.
What part of the road, once you hit the roads, do you plow first? What part of the road?
I start at the yellow line and I work to the curb line.
Why do you plow the middle of the road first?
Again, I want to ring road to the right, and I want to be able to give a bigger swath of space for first responders.
And generally, after going up a street or a road that you plow, when do you come back down the same street?
Immediately after I'm done.
Now, you mentioned Route 11.
Now, chat, this guy, to me, first trial and the most credible witness I heard. He's a guy driving a snowplow. Most honest man in Canton, at least to me. So, if you guys haven't heard him before, pay attention to what he says. Also, Natasha gifting 10 subs. Let's do this, chat. Let's do this. Thank you, Natasha, for your support and your generosity.
Your route that night. You mentioned that it takes you to Cedar Crest.
Correct.
Once you leave the DPW garage to go on your route, Route 11, how long does it take you to get to any part of Cedar Crest?
About 10 minutes.
May we display actually, Exhibit 49? Do we have access to Exhibit 49?
What is it? Is it?
It's just a map.
Okay.
And if we can't put our hands on it quickly, I can just display it on the screen.
Is it in evidence?
It is.
You can put.
Okay,
it on the
thank you,
screen.
Ron. If you put up Exhibit 49 and maybe zoom in so we just see, well, I think it is as zoomed in as it's going to go. Is that true, Mr. Wilk, to get okay. Maybe zoom in on the top part of the map, if you would. Perfect. All right. So are you able to see that map from where you are?
Yes, I can.
And by the way, do you wear corrective lenses?
Yes, I do.
What do you wear?
I wear glasses, and when it's inclement weather, I wear contacts.
So on the night in question, when you went out on your route that night, were you wearing glasses or contacts?
Contacts.
What are you wearing today?
Contacts.
You've testified in a prior proceeding regarding this matter last year, correct?
Yes.
What did you show up with that day?
Glasses.
And what's your difference? What is the difference in your ability to see the screen with your glasses or your contacts?
My contacts makes things a little bit more brighter, allowing my eyes to see better.
You have
with
more
the
difficulty
contacts.
seeing distances with your glasses?
Correct.
All right. Any problem seeing that screen here today?
None.
All right. What does that depict?
That depicts my route: Cedar Crest, Dew Lane, Spring Lane, and I'm not able to read the one underneath Spring Lane. Just
Certainly, it's a portion of your route, correct?
yes.
All right. Now, you see where it says Cedar Crest, right?
Yes.
And you see the red dot there?
Yes.
Does that red dot refresh your memory or orient you, I should say, as to what road that red dot is on?
Yes.
And what road is that?
That would be Fairview.
All right. Now, when you hit Cedar Crest Road, are you in that area of Cedar Crest, or are you in a different area of Cedar Crest when you first come up on Cedar Crest Road?
When I first come on, I'm coming in at the beginning of Cedar Crest, which is at Dedham Street in Cedar Crest.
Okay. And how long a road is Cedar Crest before you get to the area of Exhibit 49?
I would say that's about a mile and a half.
And how long does it take you to plow Cedar Crest before you get to this area on January 29th of 2022?
About 10 minutes.
All right. How much of that mile and a half or so stretch of road did you plow when you first encountered it?
I plowed the entire street.
If we could zoom out, please. All right. And when you're driving on Cedar Crest Road, are you driving toward that red, Fairview Road that you've identified?
Yep.
Coming in from the right portion of the map or the left portion of the map?
I'm coming from the right side of the map.
All right. And so you start about a mile and a half down the road to the right, which is off this map, correct?
Correct.
And you say it takes you about 10 minutes to get to the area of Fairview.
Yes.
So would Fairview be on your right or your left when you first encounter it?
On my left.
And when you hit Fairview Road that first time, what do you do?
I go all the way to the very end of Cedar Crest, turn around in a cul-de-sac, and then head back up towards Fairview.
Okay, so you're passing Fairview on your left,
Yes.
plowing further, and then turning around and plowing back.
Yes.
And when you came back to the intersection of Cedar Crest and Fairview, what did you do?
I take a right.
And how familiar were you with 34 Fairview Road on that day?
Very, very familiar.
Having delivered pizzas there for years?
And then having grown up in that neighborhood.
Were you friendly with the Alberts growing up?
Mostly with Chris, but I was cordial with the boys.
All right. And when you entered Fairview Road from Cedar Crest for the first time on your route, would 34 Fairview be on your right or your left?
On my right.
And can you give the jury your best estimate of when or what time was it when you first encountered 34 Fairview Road on January 29th of 2022?
About 2:40, 2:45
That would be AM?
a.m.
And when you were passing 34 Fairview Road or encountering it at that point, what did you know about who lived there?
I knew the Alberts lived there, and I knew that Brian Albert was a police officer, first responders.
Now, aside from the lighting on your truck, were you aware of whether there were any streetlights in the area of 34 Fairview?
Yes.
Could you describe those?
Sure. There's one before you get to 34 Fairview driveway, and there's one after Fairview's driveway.
Do you have a memory as to whether or not those streetlights were working on January 29th of 2022?
I do not have a memory of that.
But in any case, how much of the lighting of your Franken truck was illuminated at that time?
All my lights were working.
So you're now driving up Fairview Road, and 34 Fairview's on your right. Taking into account the lighting conditions that existed, especially on your truck, how much of the front lawn of 34 Fairview could you see?
I could see all the way to the front door.
What obstructions were there at the time when you first passed the Alberts residence?
None.
Were you familiar with the area of the flagpole on the left side of the property?
Yes.
Now, when you are plowing, sir, where is your attention focused?
My attention's focused out the front window, to the right and to the left.
Why?
I am looking for pedestrians. I'm looking for residents that may be backing out, not aware that I'm there, and God forbid, animals.
How much of the time that you're plowing are you scanning the road?
All the time.
Now, as you're passing 34 Fairview, could you see the area of the flagpole at 2:45 in the morning, sir?
Yes.
What was on the ground on the Albert's lawn at that point in the area of the flagpole?
Nothing.
Did you see a 6'1", 216-pound man lying on that lawn?
No.
Now, after plowing Fairview with the Albert's residence to your right, what do you do?
I go to the very end, take a left onto Chapman Street, back down Chapman Street, and then take a left back onto Fairview.
And are you plowing the whole time?
Yes.
So you get to, in this diagram, Exhibit 49, we don't have to turn the lights off. I think we can see it. You're traveling in a down direction, correct?
Correct.
And you would hit Chapman Street. Is that fair to say that's at the bottom?
Correct.
Do some type of three-point turn and go back down Fairview?
Yes.
How long does it take you to get from 34 Fairview the first time to get to Chapman Street?
Maybe 5-10 minutes.
And then how long does it take you to get from Chapman Street back down so that you're now passing 34 Fairview again?
Again, about 5-10 minutes.
And when you're coming back down, what side of the road is 34 Fairview?
On my left.
When you pass 34 Fairview at that time, are there any obstructions preventing you from seeing the front lawn?
None.
Was there any difference in the lighting on your truck when you were coming back down?
No.
Where is your attention focused when you're passing 34 Fairview on your left?
Again, out the front, right and left.
And how much of that front lawn are you able to see on 34 Fairview when you're coming back down from Chapman?
I can see everything. I can see right up to the front door.
What did you see on the front lawn of 34 Fairview on January 29th of 2022 when you're making the second pass by 34 Fairview in the area of the flagpole?
I saw nothing.
All right. Now, you've made an up and down pass, sir, correct?
Yes.
Once you pass 34 Fairview for that first up and down pass, where do you go?
I then go do Spring Lane, and I do that top and bottom.
And is there a point in time when you come back to the area of Fairview Road?
Yes.
That second time now that you're coming back, I'm counting the up and down pass as the first time.
Okay.
You with me?
Yep.
That second time now that you're coming back, about how long is it after the first time?
About 45 minutes.
So now it's about what time that you're coming for the second time to this area?
3:30.
And when you come back to the area of Fairview Road, the second time, are you on the Cedar Crest side, which is on the top of Exhibit 49, or the Chapman side, which is on the bottom?
Why is it frozen? What the hell? No, what? What is going on here? It's going. Okay, well.
Take that left, or did you do something else?
I did not take the left. At that point, I could have taken the left. I can make a decision depending
Okay, chat, that wasn't me. That was it.
on how much snow
Yes.
there.
He's always scanning. He's always on patrol. You know when Charlie's going to jump out of the snowbank. He's having flashbacks to Nam. It's like, call on the airstrike. He's always scanning.
Was on the ground. I ended up going all the way to the end as if the first time.
All right, and you did your same turnaround in the cul-de-sac?
Correct.
And now you're approaching the intersection of Cedar Crest and Fairview again, correct?
Yes.
What do?
I take the right onto Fairview.
How was the weather at 3:30 in the morning when you're now in that area of Fairview and Cedar Crest?
It's snowing fairly hard now.
Do you recall how much snow? Recall how much snow was on the ground at that point?
Maybe 2-3 inches.
And at about 3:30 in the morning, how far could you see in front of you? Again, straight and diagonally in front of you,
As far as my eyes would let me see.
as a result of the lighting on your truck.
Correct.
Now, you take the right onto Fairview. Describe for the jury what you see in the road at that point.
As I make my right onto Fairview, I notice that there's a vehicle on the right-hand side roughly in the area of the flagpole in front of 34 Fairview.
Okay. And did you make note of what type of vehicle that was?
Yes.
What type of vehicle was that?
A Ford Edge.
What direction was that vehicle parked when you saw it?
It was parked nose going up Fairview.
Toward Chapman?
Yes.
So you're coming up from behind it?
Correct.
Do you see the rear of that vehicle?
Yes.
And was it parked adjacent to the Albert property, or was it across the street from the Albert property?
Adjacent to the Albert family.
And how close to the area of the flagpole was that Ford Edge parked at 3:30 in the morning?
I can't give you an exact measurement, but looking at the front door, it was about 3 feet to the left of the front door in the area of the flagpole. So in between the front door and the flagpole.
Now, what caused you to remember that there was a Ford Edge parked at 3:30 outside the Alberts
I
residence
agree.
that
How
night?
far could you see?
For as long as I can remember, they have never parked a vehicle in front of their house. They've always had enough ample parking in the driveway.
What policies or protocols of the DPW are enforced when vehicles are parked on the street or the road during a snow emergency?
There is no parking allowed. We are supposed to notify our supervisor when there is a vehicle in the way. At that point, the supervisor will make attempt to call the resident or have the police show up at the resident. And then if they can't get the car removed, the car gets towed.
Sir, did you follow protocol that night?
I did not.
Why not?
Knowing the Albert family, knowing that there was a first responder, I gave them respect and opted not to follow procedures.
How did the presence of that Ford Edge park?
Translation, I gave him respect. I didn't want him and his buddies to start fucking with me. That's the answer there. I didn't want the cops hassling me. There's no respect. You're driving a plow, buddy. They don't care about you.
On the side of the road affect your direction of travel?
I had to go around the vehicle.
How did you maneuver around it?
I had to maneuver to the left, go up, and then maneuver back right into my lane, and then continue up Fairview.
And at any point when you were maneuvering to the left and then angling back to the right, could you see part of the front lawn of the Alberts?
Yes.
Were you able to see any part of the area around the flagpole?
Yes, as I maneuvered back right.
And when you maneuvered back right and saw that area, what, if anything, did you see on the ground in the area of the flagpole?
I saw nothing.
All right. So now you've passed 34 Fairview again. Where do you go?
I go back to the top of Chapman, and again, I do a left and a right and head back down Fairview.
Another 3-point turn.
Correct.
So now you're doing your second up and down, correct?
Correct.
All right. So you then enter Fairview again, coming back.
That is a good point, chat. Depending on the light bars and stuff, he might have some really bright lights. Red Feather, hello. Did he get license plate number? No, he wasn't going to take it because he's not going to piss off the cops. And Roxanne Weber says, hello. Well, hello, Roxanne. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us. Welcome.
Down from Chapman. And how long does it take you to get back down?
Guys, more importantly, this destroys the narrative of the body being outside. This also points out if the car was there, why didn't Brian Higgins see it? It also destroys the idea that Karen backed up because she would have ran into Brian Higgins' car. So there's a lot of things that this destroys, this guy doing this. Could he have hit O'Keefe with the plow? Yeah. I mean, like, if he would have hit John O'Keefe with the plow, he probably would have dismembered him. But I don't think that would have been there.
The area of 34 Fairview.
Again, about 5-10 minutes.
Now, you are now approaching 34 Fairview, and it's on your right or your left this time.
Again, it's on my left.
What, if anything, did you see in the road at that point?
Again, I saw the Ford Edge in the road.
Now it's on your left side?
Yes.
Did it appear to be in the identical position as when you came up the street toward Chapman?
Yes.
How much of the area of the flagpole were you able to see this time as you're coming back down from Chapman?
I was able to, it was obstructed, so I wasn't able to see as much as the first time, but I was still able to see the flagpole.
What did you see on the ground in the area of the flagpole at now 3:35, 3:40 in the morning?
I saw nothing.
All right, so now you've done your second up and down pass, correct?
Correct.
Where do you go?
I go back out on the Cedar Crest, and I continue to do the rest of my route.
Now, at this point in time, did you do more of your route or spend more time away than you did between the first and second time?
I did more of my route staying away from Fairview.
And about how long did it take you before you came back to the area of Fairview Road?
About 3 hours.
So what is your best estimate of this third time that you're now approaching Fairview Road?
About 6:15
And that'd be a.m.?
a.m.
On January 29th?
Yes.
Now, this time when you approached Fairview Road, did you come from the Cedar Crest side or the Chapman side?
I came from Chapman Street side.
And when you turned, did you turn left or right from Chapman Street to get down to Fairview?
I turned right.
And once you turned right, did something unusual happen?
Yes, I noticed there were blue lights behind me, forcing me to pull over to the side of the road.
Did you recognize the vehicles that had, or vehicle? I didn't ask you if there was more than one, but did you recognize what type of vehicle or vehicles there were?
Yes, they were police vehicles.
Which vehicle was traveling more quickly, the police vehicle or Franken truck?
The police vehicles.
What were you doing with your snowplow after the police passed you?
I continued down Fairview.
Coming down Fairview, did you actually lose sight of the police cruiser that had passed
I
you?
did.
How many side streets are there when you're coming down Fairview from Chapman Street?
3.
What are they?
Wyndham, Old Ridge Hill, and then Carriage Lane.
Now, you're now coming down Fairview Road. What did you notice ultimately in front of you in the road?
I noticed the police cars had the road blocked off and preventing me from going to Cedar Crest.
And with regard to the lighting on those police... With regard to the lighting on those police vehicles as the road was blocked off, could you describe that for the jury?
Sure, they had all their blue lights on, and they were parked, blocking the road, the entire road. I couldn't get through.
How well lit was it in the area where the police were?
Very well lit.
So you're now confronted with a blocked road. What do you do?
I turn around at Carriage Lane, and I continue to do that road, and then I exit Carriage Lane and go to the left.
All right, and going to the left would send you back toward Chapman Street, correct?
Correct.
And once you leave the area of Fairview Road, how long does it take you to come back down to Fairview Road to finish the plowing that you didn't do the first time?
As soon as the police were able to leave the area, I was able to finish that area.
Do you recall what time you finished your shift on January 29th?
I honestly don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't remember. I'm sorry.
No worries. Do you remember if it was daylight out at that time?
It was daylight.
Okay. Now, sir, in the aftermath of that storm, when was the first time you were approached by anybody connected with this investigation on either side, if you recall?
About 2 weeks.
Who was it that approached you at that time?
First name is Paul, and he described himself as a private investigator for the defense team.
Prior to hearing from the defense private investigator, had you ever heard from anybody from any police department whatsoever?
No,
Do you know who Michael Proctor is?
I do.
I'll allow that.
And did Michael Proctor ever call you or contact you at all in those 2 weeks?
No.
Where did the defense investigator approach you, if you recall?
He approached me at my place of work, which was at the Canton Ice Rink, Metropolis Ice Rink.
And what were you doing at the ice rink?
I was operating the Zamboni.
Now, without telling us what you told him, did you speak to the defense investigator?
Yes, I did.
And at some point, did you do something with the defense investigator?
Yes, I met him for a second time at the Kennedy School, and then we both drove my route.
Skipping ahead to the next year, sir, 2023, were you approached by law enforcement officers who were not Canton Police or Massachusetts State Police?
Yes,
Without telling us what you told them, did you speak to them?
yes,
Before speaking to them in 2023, had you ever heard from former Trooper Michael Proctor or anybody from this investigation from the State Police or Canton Police?
no,
At some point, did you hear from the State Police?
yes,
That was after you'd already talked to the defense and to these other law enforcement officers who were not State Police or Canton Police?
yes.
And sir, how clear is your memory about what you saw or didn't see in the early morning hours of January 29th of 2022 in the area of 34 Fairview? The first up and down pass, the second up and down pass, and then the third time you came.
Very strong.
I have no further questions. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you very much.
Let's see what Hank does. Yes. They're all corrupt. They're
Right,
no
ready
good
whenever you're ready.
cops. I'm the only honest man in Gomorrah.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Have you and I met before?
No, sir.
This is our first time speaking.
Yes, sir.
Sir, you say that your memory from that night is very strong. Would it be fair to say that before today, you've talked about this case many times?
Yes,
you've interviewed with different law enforcement people as well as civilians and attorneys, haven't you?
Correct.
I have not been one of them.
No, you have not.
Is it fair to say that when you've recounted that night as far as times and what you saw, many times your memory has changed? Is that fair to say?
It has not.
You spoke to a private investigator on behalf of the defense
Fuck
shortly
you,
after that
Hank.
night.
Yes.
Was that the first time that you spoke to somebody about what you had seen or not seen?
Yes.
That is the first time?
Yes.
Inevitably, over time, you have given statements to at least 4 different people, correct?
Correct.
And you've testified in court under oath.
Correct.
During the pendency from that night until today, it's fair to say there are many times where you have been intimidated, isn't it?
No.
You've been threatened.
Nope.
You were aware, sir, that you were being threatened by an online blogger to expose you.
I was not.
You're saying as you sit here today, you have no awareness in the history of this
No,
case
Hank.
that you were being threatened by an online blogger.
I was
Turtle
not
boy.
threatened by an online blogger.
Was the online blogger threatening or saying that he would expose you and tell personal things about you if you weren't helpful?
He was not threatening.
Let's remove the word threatening. Was the person communicating and making clear to you that if you didn't testify in a certain way, there would be some consequence to you? Anytime from when you first spoke to the private investigator until today, were there communications made to you by an online blogger that there would be consequence for you if you didn't testify in a way that was acceptable to them?
No,
You listened, of course, didn't you, to podcasts that were about you?
I did not.
People told you about them.
Yes, I did.
When friends told you about them, you knew who that person was that was making those claims, correct?
Angela, Dry Oaks, yes. Is this the online blogger? And Angela says, is it me? Well, it's Turtle Boy. So they're talking about Turtle Boy chat. I thought here nobody could bring in Turtle Boy. They aren't saying by name. They're allowed. Remember, that's how they do the FBI. Some other independent agency. So he's just a blogger. So it's Turtle Boy. It's not me. Yes. Is it? It's the Turtle Boy, and he's in the courtroom with us. So anyways, here we go.
Correct.
You were well aware of the person had a very strong and large social media presence.
I didn't know how large or what his presence were, but yes, I knew he had a blog.
Well, you know now because you follow that blogger now, don't you?
I do follow him, yes.
You pay for a subscription.
I do not.
Did you have one for free?
I did not.
And in following that blogger, you know full well the power that person has to get attention from the community to harass, correct?
Yes.
And so during the pendency of this case, not only were you aware that you were being pressured to testify a certain way, you also knew there'd be consequences if you didn't. Isn't that true?
I'm going to allow that.
You're going to allow that?
So he can answer that.
I don't know if he can answer
You
it, though.
knew there was pressure for you to testify a certain way in this case, didn't you?
I did not know I was being required to testify a certain way. I was also at the time dealing with the loss of my wife. I was not paying any attention to any social media.
Oh, that's it. The police killed his wife, too. They shut him up.
There's been pressure on you to testify in a certain way. Isn't that fair to say?
No,
Sir, you received a call from that blogger, didn't you?
I did.
And during that call, did you know the person was recording you?
I did not.
You later learned that the person recorded you.
I did not.
Do you know that your conversations were spread throughout the community online?
I was.
Sir, some of those communications or inquiries were claims that you would be exposed for personal matters if you didn't testify a certain way, weren't they?
No.
Inevitably, you've met this person, haven't you?
I've seen him. I haven't met him.
Have you ever spent time with him?
No, I have
You're
not.
still a follower of that blog.
I am.
When you follow the blog, do you read anything or do you watch it?
No, I don't do much anything towards the blogger.
As you follow it, you can see there are oftentimes articles about you.
No,
Haven't you ever been encouraged to do the right thing?
no,
Haven't you ever been celebrated after you've testified in a way favorable for one
Yes.
side or the other?
yes,
And so when you were being celebrated, that certainly took off any pressure that there would be consequence, didn't it?
Ask it differently.
Now you're asking him if he's lying,
When you were
Hank.
celebrated for testifying a certain way, did you find that to be encouraging?
I'm going to allow it.
I did find it to be encouraging,
Did
but
you,
I did not want it. I don't think I deserved it. All I was doing was my job and telling the truth.
did you enjoy the attention that you got?
I did not.
did you pose in photographs with people who support one side or the other?
I did.
And when you were in those photographs, are you saying that you didn't enjoy the attention that you were receiving?
I did not. Again, I was trying to be polite and trying to avoid any confrontation that may come from something if I said no.
Well, did anybody from the district attorney's office ever suggest they would confront you or punish you if you didn't testify a certain way?
No.
How many friends contacted you about what was being said before you testified, the pressure? How many people told you about that?
I couldn't tell you. All my friends were telling me.
So you were hearing a lot of noise or information from your friend group and community about what was being said about you.
Yes.
And this was before you testified at the first trial, sir.
This was before.
Sir, you work hard, don't you?
I do.
You work many different jobs.
I do.
You try to be a good citizen.
I do.
You are not looking for attention.
Wait,
am
wait,
not.
wait,
It was
wait,
brought
wait,
to
wait,
you.
wait.
It was brought to me.
You wish you never had that attention.
Wait, what an asshole. You try to be a good citizen, not that you are a good citizen. What, like, guys, once again, do not, like, you got to be careful, Hank, acting like an asshole. Like, this makes you sound like an asshole, Hank. You try to be a good citizen. Yeah, everybody does. Most people are. Guy Remectin says I would lose my shit. That's what Hank wants. He wants you to show your ass.
Attention, don't you?
Yes.
Because you just want to live your life the way you want to live it rather than have people you don't know attacking, criticizing, or intimidating you.
I'll allow that.
Could you repeat that, please?
Would it be fair to say that you simply want to live your life the way you've been living it without outside people attacking or pressuring or threatening you?
Yes.
On June 15, 2023, you were contacted by the defense private investigator, weren't you? And you may not know the date. Were you contacted twice by the private investigator?
I would need to know what time frame we're looking at.
Fair enough. By the way, the blogger that I speak of, do you know if he is friendly or supports one side over the other?
I know he is friendly towards one side, yes.
The side sitting in the back of the room?
I would say the defense team.
You've interacted with a private investigator hired by the defense.
Wow.
Have you also interacted with any of the attorneys?
Yes.
You're desperate,
Which
Hank.
attorneys have you interacted with?
Mr. Yannetti.
Have you contacted or been?
This is a question I hope they ask him. Has Hank ever asked you to come speak? No. I hope that's a question they ask. Have they ever contacted you? No. And Tim, I get it that he's not acting like an asshole, but a jury's going to see him acting like a dickhead. The jury's going to see him acting like an asshole. Remember, it's not all about what's right or wrong. The law and the facts matter. But if the jury thinks you're an asshole, you're in trouble. And Hank's looking like an asshole right now.
You spoken to any other attorneys other than Mr. Yannetti?
Just Mr. Yannetti.
How many times have you spoken to Mr. Yannetti?
Again, what are we talking? First trial, this trial?
The entire time from that night until today. Can you remember how many times that you've
About
spoken?
5 times.
How many times have you gone in to be interviewed by him?
4 times?
During those interviews, were they spaced out over the course of this case?
Yes.
What was the purpose of those interviews?
To go over my testimony.
When you went over testimony, were you ever shown prior testimony?
Yes.
Were you shown prior reports?
No.
Were you shown a prior investigator's report?
Yes.
Were you shown a prior report by a law enforcement agency that is not the state police, not Canton?
Not by Mr. Yannetti. I saw that first document for the first time during the first trial.
When you were discussing your testimony,
Oh!
was there a discussion?
He did it.
Times that you gave the private investigator were different
Wow.
than the report from that law enforcement agency?
Could you repeat that
Wow.
question, please?
Okay, we did that, chat. We went there.
In those meetings, was it brought up? Did you discuss that there was a difference in your memory, or at least in the reports, between what you told the defense private investigator and what you told that other law enforcement agency?
No.
Were you aware that there was a difference between the different statements attributing your memory at this time?
The first trial, yes.
When you were with the defense preparing for trial, did you go over your testimony?
Yes.
Go over questions and answers?
Yes.
Were you ever subjected to a make-pretend cross-examination about issues that were important in this case?
No.
Were you ever pointed to any particular issues that were important to talk about in this case?
No.
When you did the questions and answers, were they written down or just a conversation?
So, can you repeat that one, please? I'm sorry.
When you went through the questions and answers in preparing, practicing for your testimony, were they written down?
So ask it differently.
When you were preparing for your testimony, were the questions and answers written down, or was it just speaking?
Just speaking.
Those 4 times that you met, is that a guess, or was it 4 times?
It was about 4 times, yes.
Could it have been more?
No.
And during those 4 times, was there anything different other than going through questions and answers about testimony and preparation? Was there any other subjects you talked about?
There were none.
Did you ever receive any compensation, sir?
I received none.
Do you know whether people were sending you compensation that you didn't receive?
No.
You don't know?
I never received anything.
Were you given anything to bring home with you so that you could remember past testimony or some of the questions and answers that were going to be asked?
No.
How long were your meetings in preparation for your testimony?
About 45 minutes to an hour?
Were they all about the same time or were they different? When you came into court last year, it's fair to say this is after you became aware of essentially being targeted, correct?
You can answer that if you can. Can you answer that, Mr. Lockman?
I can. I don't ever felt like I was being targeted.
This was after you received all the information from your friends and people in the community that you were being attacked.
I'll allow that.
Again, I don't feel like I was being targeted.
Are you concerned after this case what happens with the blogger that you follow?
No.
You talked about your
Come on,
meeting
Hank,
with
let's
the
go.
private investigator. The first time you met him, do you remember that meeting?
Yes.
Do you remember where you met him?
I met him at my place of employment.
Did you go anywhere with him that day?
No, I did not.
You had a conversation with him and you spoke about what you had remembered from that night?
Yes.
Do you remember when you spoke to that private investigator, you weren't sure how many times you went up and down Fairview that night? That you had said 2 or 3?
No, I told him I went up at 2:30 at 2. I told him at 3:30 I went up 2. Went up and down. And I told him about 3 hours later I went up and down. I went down and wasn't able to go around the police cruisers and had to turn around at Carriage Lane.
You mentioned that you believe you told the private investigator that you went up and down at 2:30. Do you remember when you spoke to the private investigator, you actually said 3 o'clock?
I don't remember 3 o'clock.
May I approach?
Yes.
And before I do you remember you said that when you went on your second pass, it was around 3:15?
This is the plow driver, Angela.
Told him I
I
went
drove the snow
up.
plow.
Fairview between about 2:40.
This is
to
the snowplow
2:45.
driver.
And I said about 45 minutes later, I went for the second time.
Okay. Now you had said 2:30, and you just now said 2:40 to 2:45, and then you said 45 minutes later.
Yep.
Okay. Do you remember telling the private investigator that when you think, or you said you saw a Ford Edge, you were actually still on Cedar Brook, not on Fairview, passing by it? You saw it from the street at Cedar Brook. Do you remember telling him that?
I don't
Cedar
remember.
Crest.
I don't remember ever saying that.
May I approach?
Yes.
I'll show you a copy. This is a report that you didn't write, so I don't want you to read it. I want to show it to you and see if it helps remind you of what you told the private investigator that day. You can look at any part of this, but what I'm asking you is whether or not you remember telling the private investigator that when you saw the car, you weren't passing on Fairview, you were up on Cedar. That's the question I'm asking. So I'd ask you to look whatever part you want. But I'm going to point out the part to you. When you're done, don't answer, just look up and then I'll get to ask you some questions about your memory, okay? So I've directed to this part, but you can look at any part that you want, sir. Are you done, sir?
Yes.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Sir, do you now remember when you were speaking to the defense investigator about seeing a car? You said that about 3:30 to 4 a.m. when you were plowing Cedar Crest Road, you looked toward Fairview Road and saw a small SUV parked in front of the house. Remember telling the PI that?
I never remember telling him that.
When you spoke to law enforcement, not the Canton Police or the state police, you understood it was important to be as accurate as possible?
Yes.
And you understood, at least with that law enforcement agency, if you misled them in any way, it could be up to a 10-year penalty?
Yes.
When you spoke to them, did you take that interview very seriously?
Yes.
Try to be as precise and accurate as you could?
Yes.
And when you spoke to them, obviously, like anybody you had in mind, there could be serious consequences if they felt misled.
Yes.
You try to be honest with them,
Yes.
provide them your best memory and good faith.
Yes.
And this was shortly before, or actually this was May 24th, 2023, correct?
Correct.
When you met, there was more than one person there from this agency?
I believe so.
Was there potentially two?
There was two.
And when you met with them, they asked you about when you began working that night.
Yes.
You told them 11:30 to midnight.
I never told him that.
And so as you sit here today, your memory is you did not tell those law enforcement agents that you began work at 11:30 to 12?
We had a 2:30 start time.
I understand, but I'm asking you,
I never told him. It was always 2:30 start time.
when you spoke to them, do you remember telling them the first time you were out near the area was midnight?
Nope. No.
When you spoke to those law enforcement personnel, were they taking notes?
I believe so.
Have you ever seen their report?
The first trial I did, yes.
Who showed you that report?
It was shown to me by Prosecutor Lally.
You think Prosecutor Lally showed you that report?
It was shown to me.
And do you remember telling those two law enforcement personnel that you believe that there were emergency vehicles, ambulance?
Now, Hank's in a problem. He can't disprove that because now we'd have to put Lally on the stand. So his tow truck driver, Lucky, is a smooth operator. His head may be smooth, but his brain is not. That was a good move because Hank can't disprove that right now. Lucky's the only guy on the trial you trust. Yeah, that makes sense. Hello, Steal More Crumbs, by the way. Yes, Hank is doing a good job impeaching him as good as he can, though. He's trying. He's trying. But he has to be careful because remember, he wants everybody to trust Jed McCabe, but Jed McCabe said, well, the police reports are wrong. That's not what I said. You've got a problem of, well, who do you believe now? So, Hank has to be careful because people might remember this stuff like that. Let's see here. Okay. Chris McGinn says Sean. Sean? I've never heard it spelled just Sean. But I think that's pretty creative. I like that. I've never seen that before. Awesome. Mom of 3 is a new member. Thank you for the support. And then Mama 3 with 5 more subs, chat. Mama 3 is doing her part. Are you? Are you doing your part? I hope you are. Doing their part to make this chat green again. Unhung Hero for $2 says, I thought Hank was better than this. Overall, Hank's been doing fine. Hank's been doing really good. I mean, overall, he's been getting a lot done. He's still ahead of the curve. Mama 3's been a member for 4 months. Thank you for the support. It's saying, finally, and get alive. Thanks for all you do. Well, thank you for being here. What I do, you being here is so much more important than what I actually do. So thank you for being here, Mama 3. Then Mama 3 for $10 dues. Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for that, chat. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the support. Big freaking support tonight, you guys. Appreciate it. It sucks Hank can bring in straw men. Well, yeah, you will. Guys, I had a hearing today, and I was bringing up straw. I brought up so many straw men, you think I was a scarecrow factory, okay? It happens. So.
Or police cars in front of Fairview at 3 to 3:30 a.m.
I do not.
Are you
Well,
saying
yes,
that you
just
did
you.
not say these things to them, or are you saying that that's not your memory?
That's not what I said.
And so you're saying that's wrong. You're denying
Correct.
you made those statements.
Correct.
At the time they say that you told them there was emergency vehicles there at 3 a.m. That is the same time that you told the PI that you saw the Ford Edge around 3:30 to 4, correct?
About 3:30 is when I saw the Ford Edge.
It was dark out that night, wasn't it?
Correct.
There are no street lights down there, that flagpole area of 34 Fairview, is there?
Yes, there is.
Okay. Was it on that night?
I can't tell you honestly if it was.
You testified at trial? I'm sorry, at a proceeding last year?
I testified that there were, it was asked to me that there were not any streetlights. And I answered it in the affirmative way. And living in that neighborhood, I saw that there were actual streetlights.
You testified at a proceeding last year, didn't you?
Yes.
When you testified at the proceeding, did you meet anybody from the defense?
Was this story based?
I don't know, when we met, how close to the proceedings it was.
Do you remember being prepared
an
before
accident.
you went into trial last time?
Yes,
By?
by Yannetti, excuse me.
Do you remember telling the defense private investigator that you made your final pass at 6:30 a.m.?
I remember I told him it was about 3 hours going down Cedar Crest and was not able to go to the end of Fairview due to the first responders.
At trial last year, do you remember saying it was 5:30?
I did.
And today you had said about 6:15.
Yes,
You weren't timing anything on a watch for times, were you?
I was not.
You were not accounting in any way for time whatsoever when you were out that night, were you?
No, I was not.
When you're providing times, are you trying to use your best memory?
Yes,
Do you recognize that you have a differing memory on times of what you did that night?
no,
You talked about your view from the tow truck and that you have a bunch of lights on it. On the tow truck, you had mentioned that your vision to the side was 5 to 6 feet.
Can you rephrase that, please?
Yes, of course. You said when you were driving your tow truck, you could see forward and sideways.
Okay. I don't want to be, I don't drive a tow truck.
My apologies. My apologies. Snowplow.
Thank
You
you.
said you can see forward and sideways.
I can see forward, I can see diagonal, and I can see right to left.
When you look right to left, you said you could see about 5 feet.
Correct.
Do the lighting conditions affect how well you can see?
No.
Does the weather?
Yes,
When you're plowing, are you ever looking at the street in front of you?
yes,
Are you looking at people's front yards?
yes.
And so what did you see as far as the front door of the Albert House that night? Was it open or closed?
It was closed.
Were the lights on?
I can't answer that for sure. I don't remember if there were lights on.
How about the neighbors on the left? Were you looking at their front line?
Yes.
Did you see if their lights were on?
Again, I didn't recognize if their lights were on.
Do you look at every neighbor's front line up to the door as you're driving in the snow plowing?
I look to the right and to the left, and my eyes will graze to the yard. Yes, I will look there.
You were saying you have a specific memory of looking at the Albert front yard all the way to the door. Do you have a specific memory of looking at the other neighbors' yards to their door?
Can you repeat that, please? I'm sorry.
Yes, you said that you looked at the Albert House all the way to the door.
Correct.
Do you have a memory of looking at any other houses all the way to the door?
Yes.
Okay. Which house had a dumpster in front of it?
I don't know. I wasn't paying attention to a dumpster. Dumpster wouldn't be in the front yard.
Are you sure on your route there's no dumpsters in anybody's front yard?
I'm sure he's looking to make sure things aren't running out into the street. A dumpster's not magically going to attack him, Hank. So, yes. Call Mr. Plow. That's my name. That name again is Mr. Plow. Klondike 5.
Can tell you there was a dumpster this week.
I'm more interested in January 29, 2020.
I can't answer to that. I don't remember.
A dumpster, a 15 by 20 foot dumpster, that would be bigger than a man's body, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would be.
And so you have no really specific memory of the other homes in the neighborhood that night.
I mean, I looked. I saw. I didn't see a dumpster that would have definitely stuck out.
Okay. You said you had vision as far as your eyes could see.
Correct.
What does that mean?
Means if they were, my eyes were, as long as they're open, I can see as far as they will let me see.
Is that dependent on lighting conditions, darkness, snow?
Correct.
That
Guess what the snow does? That it makes your ability to see at night easier because everything's bright and reflects a lot of light.
night, did you have any difficulty paying attention or driving?
I did not.
Did you have a small accident that night?
I did.
Okay, what did you hit?
I hit a portable basketball net.
Was that part because of the weather conditions? You didn't have a good opportunity to see it?
No, I definitely saw it and just did not judge enough.
You said that you went up and down the road a couple of times. When you were asked to describe the car that you said you saw, when you first spoke to the defendant's private investigator, you didn't give any detail about the type of car, did you?
I told her it was a Ford Edge.
Okay. When you first spoke to the investigator, you used the words Ford Edge?
I did.
Did they bring you to a parking lot at some point?
They did.
And when they brought you to a parking lot, did they have you go out in the parking lot and look at a Ford Edge?
They did.
And when they had you go out and look at the Ford Edge, did they have you identify that as the type of car?
Yes, they did.
And when you did that, how many cars were in the parking lot?
We had a hockey game, so
Very
there were
honest.
several, at least 100, 150.
Who pointed you to the Ford Edge?
I pointed to it.
Did the investigator take you to the Ford Edge?
No, he did not.
It was just an open parking lot, and he asked you to look around to see if they happened to be a similar car?
No, I told him a Ford Edge. He wanted to make sure I knew what a Ford Edge looked like. I pointed to the Ford Edge, and he was satisfied.
So after you said a Ford Edge, he brought you to a parking lot to point out a car?
We were at my place of business. We just walked out the door.
Where was that?
At the Metropolis Ice Rink.
The rink?
Ice rink, yes.
Did you then meet the investigator later on at a school?
Yes, I did.
And who did you meet at the school?
I met Paul again.
And what was the purpose of that?
He wanted to go through my route.
You want to go through your route?
Correct.
And then did you choose to meet at the school?
I did.
You did?
I did.
And why did you choose the school?
It was an easier landmark for the gentleman to get to, and it was minutes from my route.
Did you know that former Trooper Proctor's sister worked there?
I had no idea.
You said last year that when you went by Fairview, did you say that you would buy your final pass at 5:30 a.m.?
No.
Okay. May I approach?
Yes.
Sir, when you have contact, you also wear reading glasses?
Yes. I can't read things up close.
Understood. This is trial testimony, testimony from June 21st, 2024.
Mhm.
And you were asked, do you recall what time it was that you wound up back on Fairview? You said, I don't honestly recall what specific time. Yes?
Yes.
And then you were asked, sure. Approximately, if it was 3:15 to 3:30, that second time, what would be your best estimate of the time when you came back? And what did you say?
Say about 5:30.
And so even last year, you were having some difficulty remembering the times, right?
Objection.
Were you having difficulty last year remembering the times that you were on Fairview?
No.
When you said you were on Fairview last year at 5:30, you didn't see anything on the Albert front lawn at 5:30 a.m.?
I wasn't on Fairview at 5:30 a.m.
Okay. Were you asked last year about your travels on Fairview?
Yes.
Okay. When you asked about, recall, was time you wound up on Fairview, and you said you didn't remember. Do you remember that testimony?
I do.
And is that true testimony?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so you had some difficulties in your memory of when you were on Fairview when you testified last year. Isn't that fair to say?
No, it's not fair.
And then you were asked approximately if it was 3:15 to 3:30 the second time, what time did you come back?
And I said, if I were to guess, I said 45 minutes later.
Did you say, I would say, if I had to say, it would have been 5:30 up Fairview?
That time was incorrect. It was 6:15. I couldn't go down any further due to the police presence.
So your testimony last year, you understandably made a mistake about the time, correct?
I did.
And it's true, isn't it, that you really have somewhat foggy memory about the times?
It is not.
That time of 5:30 is very different than the time you told the agents when you met them. I'm sorry, the law enforcement officials that weren't from Canton or the state police. That was very different than when you told them 3 to 3:30.
Very different.
And it's different than the 3:30 to 4 timeline that you gave the defense private investigator the first time you spoke to them. Right?
Correct.
And it's different than what you told the jury today that it was 6:15.
It's different, but it's not.
When you plowed that night, did you have any reason to look for somebody who was lying on the side of the yard?
No.
Did you have any expectation somebody would be
It's a very
lying
good
helpless on the
question.
side of the yard that night?
These are
No.
good questions.
If you had seen somebody, certainly you would have helped.
Correct.
When you said that, when the private investigator asked you where you were when you said you saw the Ford Edge, are you saying that you didn't tell the private investigator that you were on Cedar?
I don't remember telling him I was on Cedar Crest. I do remember telling him that I had turned onto Fairview and saw the vehicle.
Cedar Crest in a storm at night is quite a distance from the flagpole at Fairview, isn't it?
No,
About 300 feet?
roughly.
Difficult to see under those conditions?
No.
Could we have Exhibit 71, Stream 0 at about 6:17 a.m., please?
Okay.
Could you stop it there? Do you see that street light?
I do.
Okay. At the end of that road, past the street light, is Cedar Crest, correct?
Correct.
Is that a fair depiction
Okay.
of the elements that night around that time?
Yes.
And in this case, there's further illumination with the car that's facing us.
Correct.
That wasn't there, was it?
Hey, chat, how bad does this get? You guys say he steps on his dick. Let me see what happens here. Is this coming up now? Let's see.
Correct.
You said after you saw law enforcement, did you come down Fairview after you saw law enforcement?
I was on Fairview already when I saw the.
Although to be fair, this is not his truck, so this is not what he could see. Also, I mean, this is not horrible visibility. If I was in an airplane, yes, this is awful. But if you're on the ground, this is pretty decent visibility.
Law enforcement.
Did you drive by Cedar Crest again to go back and forth and watch what was going on, or did you go on your route?
I went on my route, which included Cedar Crest.
Did you keep driving by because you wanted to watch, or did you just leave and do your regular route?
I went and did my regular route.
Could I have 6:19:27, please? And could you play it? If you could back up a little before 6:19:27. Is that weather consistent with what it looked like to you?
Yes.
Is that you there?
I don't know if that's me. Yes, that's me. That is me.
Could we go to 6:32?
Wow, you could see him pretty freaking well. That's a pretty good visibility. Wow, that was very, very visible. Like I said, chat, this is acceptable visibility in a car. In a plane, this would be dangerous, but wow. Okay. There you go, Hank. That's what, like 400, 500 feet? You can see 500 feet at night in the snowstorm. That's good. Tim says, but he just placed him in a spot he said he wasn't. Let's see. Oh, it's 300 feet? Okay, let's see.
45, please.
Okay. Uh-oh, it froze again.
Is that you again?
That one, I can't tell if that was me again.
We go to 6:35:14, please.
Well, I don't think his snowplow tracks overlapped. Oh, do you think Paul sitting in the back like, Paul not like snowplow man. Snowplow man eliminates school snow days.
Was that you?
How
I
can you
don't see
tell?
it. I don't see the truck. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Could we go back to 6:35:12?
That doesn't look like a
That
truck.
looks like to be a pickup truck.
maybe?
That does not look like my truck.
Yeah,
6:37:45, please.
he's gonna have a light and everything on top. It's pretty obvious. That looks like him right there.
Next you again, right?
Again, I can't tell you for
Bye,
sure
Aaron.
if that was me.
Those were not your red and orange lights consistent with the earlier ones that went by?
What I saw the first time
Yes, that they did. A truck with orange lights went by earlier. Hank, what are you getting at?
was the reflecting tape off the body of my truck.
Can we go to
I have
seven?
a plow guy that is a contractor
What are you doing?
that we work in tandem together.
And was he out there that night as well, going by Fairview?
Correct.
Okay. Did you ever tell the private investigator about him?
Yes, I did.
7:22, please. Is that you, sir?
I can't say for sure.
7:15, 45 seconds, please.
Yeah, he's got a spotter. Yes, how many guys are out? That's the thing, chat. How many dudes with a blade on their truck are out in a snowstorm? Everybody who wants to make money. Every
recognize
landscaper
that
and
line?
alcoholic is out there making money in a snowstorm.
I do not.
7:19 and 55 seconds, please. Was that you, sir?
That was me.
How long does your route take?
It's hard to say. I mean, as long as it's snowing, it can take as long as it takes.
Well, if you're going to do a pass, how long does the entire pass take?
If I were to do from Cedar Crest to the end, it would take probably 10 minutes. If I were to do the entire route, I'm not cleaning up. I'm just giving it a pass so people can get through. It could take about 3 hours. It could take 4 hours.
When you mentioned Brian Albert on your direct examination, had you talked to the defense about Brian Albert in your preparation for testimony?
No,
You knew some of the Albert family,
I know the entire Albert family.
and you know Brian Albert as a police officer.
Yes, I do.
Why is it that 3 times in your direct testimony you characterized him as a first responder?
Because he's a police officer. They're first responders.
Did anybody ever suggest to you to use the terms or the phrases first responder when you were describing Brian Albert?
No one did. Those are my words.
Since your trial testimony last year, have you received any more focusing or targeting of harassment? Since last year when you testified, have you received any recent aggression towards you for testifying?
No,
Have you had any further focus or problems?
no.
I have no further questions.
Very briefly, sir.
I think overall those were kind of like okay. So, yeah, Hank said trial testimony a lot too, but yeah, I don't think anybody ever harassed him, but there you go. If I had Nick put me on his death note yet, no. And anything, remember, when Nick wishes you $1 million, you actually get $1 million. If he wishes you death, I'll get untold success. So, yeah. Yes, Chile has a new lawsuit on oh, he does? I don't Nima. Send that to me. I need it. I know there's one where Chile's suing a bunch of judges in Nevada, but yeah. He puts me in there daily and it keeps failing. So, Nima, but thank you.
You were-
Send that to me.
Asked by Mr. Brennan about whether you saw a dumpster that night. Do you recall that line of questioning?
I do.
In the aftermath of January 29th of 2022, was a dumpster all over the news for the next 3.5 years?
Not that I'm aware of.
Very good question.
You were asked about going through your route with the defense investigator and giving a statement to the defense investigator.
Yes.
How soon after January 29th of 2022 was that?
2 weeks.
Were the events fresh in your mind at that time?
Yes.
Finally, oh, actually not finally, I got 2 more points, but they're both brief. You had mentioned that night you actually misjudged and hit a net.
Yes.
Can you describe the basketball apparatus that, and I'm going to ask you what part of it you hit, but describe what that looks like.
It's got a base with wheels on it. It's portable, so you can move it in and out. And it's got the basketball frame, and it's got the backboard and then rim.
Okay. So this is not a pole that was cemented into the ground.
Correct.
So perhaps we're all familiar with it, the black base that maybe you put sandbags on,
Correct.
that type of thing to keep it in place, but it does have wheels?
Correct.
All right. And you mentioned the net. The net is the rope netting that comes down, correct? There's also a hoop that keeps the net in place?
Yes.
And the pole?
Correct.
And the base?
Correct.
Of all those things, what part did your Franken truck actually catch?
It caught the net in the little bit part of the frame, of the frame where the net was.
Something that you saw from the beginning, you just misjudged the distance.
Correct.
Now, finally, with regard to the 5:30 testimony that you gave last year,
Yes.
did you also testify that the last pass that you tried to make when the police were blocking the scene was about 3 hours after that 3:30 second up and down?
Yes.
So why is it last year that you testified that it was 3 hours later, but you came up with the time of 5:30 as the final time?
As he's asking me these questions, I'm trying to do the math in my head. I'm sorry, math is not my strong suit.
What time was it when you made that final pass, sir?
6:15, 6:15, 6:30.
I have nothing further.
You mentioned you're trying to do the math in your head. There is no reason why you would specifically remember certain times on each pass other than trying to remember and give an accounting, right?
Could you rephrase that, please?
Sure. You don't have your watch out on a certain schedule that you have to pass a certain street at a certain time.
Correct.
You weren't marking your times to some event when you were driving up and down the street that night, were you?
No.
So you're trying to go back with your memory and piece it together the best you can.
Correct.
And that's why you're giving estimates, yes? And when
Correct.
you spoke to those law enforcement officials, not Canton, not state police, and you said at 3 o'clock you saw first responder vehicles. That was based on your memory, wasn't it?
Yes.
It was based on your memory.
Not at 3:30.
Right. Do you know that there was a car similar to a Ford Edge in front of 34 Fairview around 6 a.m. that morning?
I wasn't able to get in front of Fairview Drive, 34 Fairview, at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Have you ever met Kerry Roberts before?
I have not.
Counsel just asked you if there was a lot of media about this case, and you said that there was.
I-
Did he just ask you a question about whether there was a lot of attention on this case? Did he just talk to you about everything that happened after this case, all the attention on this case? Remember his question about all the attention after this case?
He asked specifically a question about the dumpsters.
And he said that wasn't subject to a lot of attention, was it?
Correct.
Right. But this case was.
The case itself, yes.
The people involved in this case were subject to a lot of attention.
Correct.
And you spoke to the defense investigator after this case, as far as attention is concerned. You remember speaking to the investigator on June 5th, 2023.
Yes.
And do you know, coincidentally, that is the day that the blogger put out the articles on you, accusing you of not doing the right thing? May I approach?
Yes.
I don't think he knows, Hank. So
Let's take a look at that document. What day is that document dated?
June 5th, 2023.
Without reading it, that document talks about you.
Correct.
And your friends and people in the community talked to you about this article, didn't they?
Not specifically this article, but they were sending me stuff that were being printed about me, yes.
Why don't you take a little look at what's said and you can tell us whether that's the same type of information that was being conveyed to you with intermediaries.
Can you ask that question again, please?
Okay, sir. Was this some of the kind of attention that you were receiving on June 5th after you spoke to the defense investigator?
Yes.
Like, come side door.
Okay.
All right, chat. We got to skip ahead here. All right. Paul's just so upset. He's like, Paul not like Snowplow Man. Paul's sad. Turtle Boy's in the back of the big old shit-eating grin. I saw the tweet where somebody caught him smiling, and this lady right here looks over his shoulder at Turtle Boy, and he's just got a big old smile. It's hilarious. That's nice he got in today. So, Paul's not a player with us, yes. Paul determined Snowplow Man honest. Snowplow Man told truth. All right, here we go, chat. Back into it. We're looking good on time, guys.
All right, Mr. Brennan.
Sorry, I have just a few more questions. When I had mentioned about meeting the defense investigator on June 5th, 2023, I misspoke. It was June 5th, 2024. Does that sound more like it?
Yes.
June 5th, 2024, was that shortly before you testified before?
Yes.
You were asked on redirect examination whether any dumpsters got any attention about this case. The question I was asking is, did you notice things that might have been open and obvious? And you have no memory of an actual dumpster in the area, correct?
Correct.
If I could have on the screen Exhibit 37, still photo from that clip.
Okay, I'm sure that there is one. That doesn't mean he didn't see what he saw, Hank.
Have a moment, Your Honor.
Sure.
Oh. Oh. There we go,
It's a video
chat.
that I'll stop at for a certain point.
Okay.
Exhibit 71. And sir, do you notice the big red dumpster to the right side across from Fairview?
It's also bright outside, Hank, unlike it was before.
Yes.
You can take that
Notice
down.
that it's a little brighter now than it was.
Sir, when we started the break, I asked you some questions. I showed you a document, asked you if you were aware what was inside that document, and you mentioned that was around June 5th, 2023. That was before your last testimony in this case.
Yes.
And you knew that a person or persons were putting out private pictures of you online.
I did notice.
And those private pictures, you didn't give anybody permission or want that attention, did you?
I did not.
In fact, it wasn't just some private pictures. It was pictures taken from a number of different times in your life, correct?
Yes,
You never gave anybody permission to do that.
I did not.
You didn't want people talking about you or asking you questions. That was none of their business, did you?
I did not.
And it was embarrassing that you were being made this public spectacle when you had done nothing wrong, correct?
Ask it differently.
Was it embarrassing what they were doing to you?
I wouldn't say embarrassing, as more as aggravating.
In fact, they were calling your boss. Yes?
I'm going to allow that.
Yes,
And you mentioned how hard you work.
yes,
You plow, you even deliver peaches to 8 years.
yes,
Only anytime you can work, you try hard, don't you?
I do.
And when someone's calling your boss, giving undue attention to you, didn't it create some concern it could affect your livelihood?
I did not think it was going to affect me in that manner.
In addition to dragging you into this, because of you, your brother was dragged into this, wasn't he?
Ask it differently.
When you were getting this information about what was happening, you learned that they were also dragging your brother into this because of you, correct?
I'll sustain that.
Did you learn that information was coming out about your brother?
I knew my brother was dealing with other issues regarding this case.
And certainly, you're close with your brother.
Yes,
You care for your brother.
yes,
You did not want to upset anybody and have more attention brought onto your brother, did you?
I did not.
And there was an attempt to link your brother to one of the others, in fact, correct?
Yes,
As well as you.
I don't know if I was being linked.
Did you know the information of trying to so-called out you about the fact that you work for Chris Albert?
I'm going to sustain that the way it's phrased.
Were you aware when your friends and family were telling you about what was going on, about an attempt to draw a relationship between you and the others?
No,
And were you aware when people were telling you what was happening, that there was attacks on you personally, like finances and things like that?
yes, I was aware of that.
And certainly, that is pretty discouraging when that is happening when you've done nothing wrong, isn't it?
It was, again, aggravating.
And this was all happening before you came in and testified last time at trial.
Correct.
After you testified, things got better.
I wouldn't say better. It's gotten a little more easily manageable.
You were no longer being harassed, you were being embraced.
Correct.
And it hurt.
Yes.
Showing you a photograph, do you recognize that?
I do.
Is that part of the embracing process after you testified a certain way the last time?
It was after I testified, yes.
With redactions, we won't be able to introduce a select portion of this.
So I need to see what that is. I decide on make this very
All right, chat. We're going another sidebar. Yeah, he's being harassed today by the anti-Karen Reed people, so wouldn't surprise me there. Let's see. Examoon says for 7 months, thanks for being here. YouTube put CNN in my suggestions after 52 seconds. Wow. Stabby's been a member for 24 months. He says, oh no, this is not good. This is not good, chat. Nick, wish me 1 million subs. You'll be 1,000 pounds. Ah, thank you, Stabby. And then nice podcast, stupid. Dan, how you doing? Says, goofy name aside, the world needs more Turtle Boys. 100%. He is doing God's work here on this case, at least. So he is the hero Canton deserves. Not, that's what I'll say there. Skeeve Man for 5 pounds sterling is saying, Hank is the epitome of the sniveling weasel, tiny peep, tiny wiener energy. My God, he is aggravating. I hope he isn't married, as his wife must hate him when he talks. Well, guys, there's stuff he's doing that's okay. I just think he's an asshole when he does it. But some of these cross-examination questions were good. The one, though, do you see the dumpster now? You mean at 7 o'clock in the morning? A little different than looking for it at 2 o'clock at night. So I think there's a little, like I said, I think there's some things he's done, but overall, he's doing all right. Overall, he's this is not turning into an unmitigated disaster. Oh, a Swedish fish raid. Hello.
Madam Court Reporter, please.
Hello, Nick Staro's friends. I appreciate you guys being here. Welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you, guys. Nick Starro from Nick Starro's Trial Watch. Hope you're doing well, Nick.
And I just showed you a photograph. Is that a fair and accurate depiction of you
Hi, Hella.
after your last testimony?
Yes.
Reflecting you
Friends
now
of,
being
friends of the
embraced
show,
rather than
chat.
attacked?
Friends of the show.
Yes.
Could we show the photo, please, Ms. Gilman, with the court's permission?
Yes.
And that's you, Mr. Laughlin?
Yes.
You can take that down, please. Thank you for your time.
Just very briefly, sir, if I might, Your Honor.
Sure.
Mr. Loughran, I should say. The questioning about the attention that you received in 2023 when you received secondhand the information from the blogger, was that before or long after you were interviewed and gave a statement to the defense investigator in February of 2022?
It was long after.
Nothing further. Thank you.
Okay. All right, Mr. Lockman, you are all set, sir. Okay. There another witness.
Yes, Your Honor. The defense calls Karina Kolakifis.
All right, do you need to see me before as she's coming in, or will that be in a while?
I can't remember.
Why don't you come on up really quickly?
All right, chat. So overall, this was pretty good. This wasn't a disaster for Hank. I think that they got a lot of good information in from the defense here. So I think that this was a positive for Karen. But this guy, we knew this guy wasn't going to be a landslide. This guy was going to be okay. So that's all right. It's all right. He did what he needed to do. Then here's the Kolakithis lady. I recognize her from last time through.
She solemnly swear the evidence in the court here in the case now against the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
May I proceed, Your Honor? Yes. Good afternoon, ma'am. Would you
afternoon.
please introduce yourself to the jury and spell both your first name and your last name?
Sure. My name's Karina Kolakithis. It's Karina. Last name Kolakithis. Kolokithas.
That's almost as bad as your name.
It's long.
In what town do you live, ma'am?
I live in Canton.
How long have you lived there?
We've lived there for 22 years.
Where did you grow up?
Now, if you guys are keeping track, this is not a very Irish name.
So I initially grew up in Randolph, and then we moved to Braintree, and I finished my last 3 years of high school and stayed there till I was married.
And where did you go to school after high school?
So after high school, I went to Northeastern University. I did the pharmacy program there.
And what is your profession?
I'm a pharmacist.
How long have you worked as a pharmacist?
So total years is about 30 years as a pharmacist, but I have been at my current job for about 24 years.
Are you married?
I am married.
To whom?
His name is Nicholas Kolakithis.
How long have you been married for?
24 years.
Do you have children?
I have 2 children.
And without giving us their names, can you tell us if you have boys or girls and what their ages are?
So I have 2 girls. One is 19 and one is 17.
Have you raised your children in Canton?
Yes, I have.
Do your children play sports or have they played sports in Canton?
I have both girls played sports in Canton. One actively is playing sports there, and one is in college. So she's not playing sports.
Understood. What sports have your girls played?
So they primarily played basketball, and my youngest plays lacrosse as well.
From raising your children in Canton and attending their sporting events, I'm assuming, have you met other parents with children on your daughter's teams?
Yes, I have.
Specifically, did you come to know Jennifer and Matthew McCabe?
Yes, I have.
And is that the way that you came to know them?
Correct. Typically, that's how we came to become friends with people, through sports.
Now, prior to January 28th of 2022, how long had you known Jennifer McCabe specifically?
I would say about 10 years or so.
And during that time, what was the nature of your relationship with Jennifer McCabe?
So we were just friends through the kids. Multiple kids did different sports. They played on different sports teams, so we were friends through that.
And how often, or if at all, did you socialize with her and or her husband?
So typically, sometimes if the kids had play dates, it was mostly my youngest daughter, to be honest. So my youngest daughter and one of her daughters were good friends and played on similar sporting teams. So they would have play dates and stuff like that. So sometimes we'd see them after a game or they had a play date or something like that.
And I'm sorry, it's a little loud with the fan. If the last part of your answer, if I didn't hear it, I'm thinking the jurors might not have heard that. You said it was mostly after games?
After sporting, after play dates or sports and stuff like that.
I see. And would there be times where, after a game you go out for pizza, that type of thing?
Yeah, like you go out for pizza, or the girls would be like, "Hey, mom, can we have a play date? Can a couple of the girls, come over the house and
Okay.
do stuff
Now,
like that?"
Prior to January 28th of 2022, did you know John O'Keefe?
So I knew John O'Keefe same way. His niece and my younger daughter were good friends, are good friends. So same thing. We knew him through the sports as well. My husband coached his niece in a couple teams, and they also played soccer together. So that's how we knew John.
And do you remember how long you would have known him for before January 28th of 2022?
I would say about 9 years or so.
And what was the nature of that relationship?
Friendly. Didn't like go out with him, but we were friends. Like we saw him all the time. He would, take my younger daughter with him.
Okay.
I don't.
It's very clear John O'Keefe was banging all the women in the neighborhood. All he did was the whole, you know how tough it is for me, single dad by myself. And all those women automatically were just like, oh my God, bail me. That's how that went. We know it.
We just saw him all the time. So weekly, I would say.
This is a good question.
What about Karen Reed? Did you know Karen Reed prior to January 28th of 2022?
So same thing, met Karen through John. And I believe the first time I met her was at Jennifer McCabe's house sometime in 2020.
2020?
Correct.
So this would have been during the pandemic?
Correct.
And do you see Karen in the courtroom today?
I do.
Would you please point her out and describe what she's wearing?
She is wearing a blue suit at the table with her lawyers.
Okay. May the record reflect that the witnesses identified Ms. Reed?
Okay.
Now, prior to January 28th of 2022, how often would you have seen or interacted with Karen Reed in any capacity, if you know?
So Karen sometimes would come to watch games of John's niece. So I would see her there and we just casually talk.
And what was the nature of your relationship with her prior to January 28th of 2022?
We were friendly.
All right. Now, directing your attention to January 28th of 2022, do you recall that being a Friday?
Correct.
What did you do that day?
So that day I worked.
As a pharmacist?
Correct.
Do you recall what your hours were?
Approximately, I would say 8 to 4:30 that day.
What plans did you have after work?
So after work, my plans were to go to the Canton High basketball game to watch my daughter play.
And what plans came up for before the game that night?
So before the game, before I left work, there was a text that went around saying that some of the parents were going to meet at the Canton Junction before the game, and if anybody wanted to stop by and grab a bite to eat.
And what is the Canton Junction?
So it used to be like a little pub/restaurant in Canton.
Did you go to the Canton Junction?
So I went home first because I had a bag.
Yeah,
I had
she's
to
a
switch out of
pharmacist
because we
like
have to have
Alessi.
plastic clear bags at work. So anyway, so I went home, and then after that, I stopped at the Canton Junction.
Okay. And did you go alone or with someone?
So I went by myself.
And when you got there, did you see people that you knew?
Correct. So I walked in, and there was a bunch of parents there from the varsity teams, the varsity team.
And excuse me, was either John O'Keefe or Karen Reed there?
They were not there.
What about Jennifer McCabe and or Matthew McCabe, her husband?
I believe Matthew McCabe was there. I don't believe Jennifer went to the Canton Junction.
Now, how long were you at the Canton Junction for?
I would say less than an hour.
Do you recall about what time it was that you would have been leaving there?
I'm not really sure. The game started at 6:30, so before 6:30.
All right. And when you left the Canton Junction, where did you go?
I went to Canton High School to watch the game.
And in the gymnasium, with whom did you sit to watch your daughter's basketball game?
I'm not sure who I sat with, but it would have been those parents from the varsity team, whoever was there and wherever there was a spot.
Was it generally a custom that the parents of all the kids on the team would kind of congregate together in the stands?
Correct.
Do you recall what time the basketball game ended?
I believe the game ended around 8:30.
Where did you go after the basketball game?
So after the game ended, I went down and waited on the court for my daughter to come out of the locker room, greeted her, the players, and then I said to everybody, I'm going home.
Okay. And you did go home?
Correct. I went home after the game.
And having now made it home, what were your plans that night?
So my plans were to stay home. I was tired. I worked all day, watched the game. I was pretty much done with the day. So my plans were to stay home.
At some point, did those plans wind up changing?
So then I started getting text messages from my husband saying, you should come out. We're going to go to the waterfall. And I said, no, I'm not coming.
And what is the waterfall?
So that's a restaurant that has a bar, and it's in Canton on Washington Street.
Okay, so you've given your husband the stiff arm, so
Correct.
to speak, right? You're
Correct.
not going.
Not going.
So what happens?
So then he keeps on texting me. He's like, I'm at the waterfall. You should really come. It's fun. There's a band. And I was like, oh, really? Like, I don't want to go. And then my kids got involved with the conversation.
And how did that affect your decision?
So they started saying to me, Mom, you never go out. You never do anything. You know, Dad's by himself. Just go. Keep him company while he eats. So I reluctantly went.
All right, so you were guilted into it.
Guilted 100% into it.
All right, so where did you go?
So then I went to the waterfall.
Do you recall about what time it was that you got to the Waterfall Bar and Grill?
I believe I got there approximately 9:30 or so.
And when you first arrived there, who was there, if anyone, that you recognized?
So my husband was there, and then I recognized Jennifer and Matt McCabe.
And what happened after you got there?
So after I got there, I walked in, and I said to my husband, I'm like, where's everybody from the basketball team? And he said, I don't know. They all sort of split up. He's like, don't worry. Just hang out here. I already ordered a sandwich, so just hang out with me while I eat, and then we'll go.
And were you introduced to anyone?
Yeah, so then Jennifer McCabe started introducing me to all her family. So I got to meet a lot of them. It was fun. It was a good time.
And do you recall specifically who you met?
So I think I believe I met, well, she sort of just introduced me to whoever was at the table. So I'm not sure 100%, but just like the niece, her sister, her brother-in-law, like people like that.
All right, the Albert family?
Correct.
And when you're being introduced to a bunch of people at once, it can be tough to keep everybody's names straight at the time.
Right. It's kind of overwhelming. There was a lot of Jen's family.
Now, what were you drinking that night?
So that night I drank water.
And the whole time you were at the waterfall, did you drink anything else except for water?
I only drank water that night.
Now, was there a point when you were going to leave the waterfall before they closed up for the night?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Sure. You wound up leaving at a certain time, correct?
I never left.
Well, you left because you're in court today. You're not still at the waterfall.
Okay, correct.
So what I'm trying to get at is, at some point you left the waterfall, but was there a point before that where you were planning to go?
Correct.
Tell us about that.
So my husband had eaten, and I said, you know what, I think I'm going to get going. And I was about to get going, and then John and Karen walked in.
Okay. And when you say John and Karen, you're referring to?
John O'Keefe and Karen Reed.
And why did that change your plans?
I was excited to see them. I liked Karen, so as soon as I saw her walk in, I was like, hey, I'm going to stay. I want to talk to her.
And what did you notice about John O'Keefe's mood when he arrived that night?
So John was very happy. His niece had just gotten into a private school called Bishop Fien, and that was like the first thing he was talking about. He was elated that she got in, and he was telling everybody about that.
And thereafter, how much interaction did you have with John and or Karen?
Karen and I probably spent the entire night talking. Maybe give or take some time that we didn't, but the majority of the time, Karen and I were speaking together.
And if you had to estimate, how long a conversation did you have with Karen?
Maybe an hour, like 40, 50 minutes out of the hour. Like if we spent like an hour together, perhaps we spoke 50 minutes of those out of that hour.
And without telling us the content of the conversation, what was the subject matter, if you remember?
So Karen was also, she mentioned being excited about Kaylee getting into Bishop Fien. And well, just when I first saw her, she first started talking about my daughter. So I saw her, she came in, she greeted me. And when we did start talking, she just started talking about my daughter and how much she really loved my daughter's relationship with John's niece.
Okay. And while you were having this conversation with Karen, was it an easy conversation back and forth?
Very easy.
Where were you located within the waterfall while you were having this conversation?
We were at a height. I don't remember where we were talking. We were sitting down talking at a table.
The high top tables,
Did you get
chat.
to her when you were speaking with her?
In order in order for someone to hear you, because of the band being so loud, we were probably a couple feet from each other.
And in what direction were you facing when you were speaking to her? And I'm talking in relation to Karen.
I don't remember if she was next to me at this point. She could have been next to me at this point.
All right. And your face would have been facing where?
At her.
Okay. That actually was the question. I'm sorry. This is kind of a stupid way to talk, but I have to ask the questions this way.
We were face to face.
There you go. All right. So in other words, Karen was also facing you when she was speaking to you?
Correct.
Did you notice what Karen was drinking?
So she was drinking a drink it was a clear liquid out of a clear glass, and I assumed it to be alcohol of some sort, but I'm not sure.
And while you were talking with her, can you describe, was the conversation coherent?
Very coherent.
Was she making sense?
She was.
Was she engaged in the conversation?
She was.
And did you make any observations regarding her sobriety?
She seemed fine to me.
And you're a pharmacist, correct?
I am a pharmacist.
And you were that night?
I was that night.
How much interaction did you see that Karen had with John O'Keefe?
They had some interaction.
And was there one specific interaction that stands out in your mind then and today? And I'm talking about a physical interaction.
Now, this is something here, Tim. I kind of think, if you believe this idea that something was foul play was afoot, she kept Karen alive, but John died because of this. They weren't going to kill Karen. They were going to kill John. Yeah, she might owe her life.
When they hugged at one point.
Okay. And did John come over to Karen at one point and do something?
He did.
What did he do?
So John went over to Karen and he gave her a kiss on the forehead.
Okay. And that kiss on the forehead, why did that stand out to you?
So honestly, I'd never seen something like that before, a boyfriend do to a girlfriend in public. Never saw that. So it just stood out to me. I was like, wow, that's the sweetest thing I've ever seen.
Can we queue up Exhibit 22, Mr. Wilk? I'd like to go to approximately 11:36 and 41 seconds. And if we can, well, first of all, have you seen that video before me?
I have.
Do you recognize what Exhibit 22 depicts?
It shows a waterfall.
And is that consistent with what it looked like when you were there that night?
Correct.
And you've previously identified that as being a fair and accurate video of that night?
I do.
If we could zoom in, well, first of all, again, let me try and lay a foundation. Where would you be, if you recall, at the waterfall within that video? To the right, to the left?
I'm in the right, in the black top, sitting on a chair.
Okay, could we zoom in on that area, Mr. Wolf? Okay, we've zoomed in. Do you see yourself?
I do.
And where are you seated?
So there's a white jacket on the back of a chair. That's me.
And do you see anybody else in that video that you now recognize?
I see Brian Higgins.
Okay, and when you say Brian Higgins, is that somebody that you had known prior to that night?
I did not know Brian.
He was one of the people you were introduced to?
Correct.
And you since have learned, put the face to the body, or I'm sorry, I should say the name to the body or the name to the face?
Correct.
All right. And where do you see Brian Higgins?
He has like an emblem on the back of like a sweatshirt.
All right, so his back is to the camera?
Correct.
And we have not located that pointer, have we? Thank you, sir. May I approach the picture?
Yes.
Now, if you can, ma'am, would you please use that pointer to show where you are first?
That's me.
Okay. And Brian Higgins?
That's him.
All right. Do you recognize, at this point in the video, do you recognize anybody else?
Not right now.
Okay. If we could start to play it, Mr. Wolf. And stop for a second. I would ask you, as soon as you recognize somebody else, if you speak up and tell us to stop and we'll pause.
Okay. So right there is Karen's head.
Okay. Is that the back of Karen's head or?
Correct. So that's the back of her head.
All right.
And
And
then
you're, by the way, just so the record's clear, over Mr. Higgins' shoulder, there appears to be a face looking forward on the right shoulder. You see that, right?
correct.
You're not referring to that. You're referring to the long hair that's in back of that face.
Yeah.
correct?
Could I point to it
Sure.
again? Okay. So I'm referring to that head right there.
Understood. Okay.
And then
Very clear to tell this guy's got some sort of Harley Davidson sweater on. But yes, I think that's funny. You guys were able to see better. Yes, I'm giving you guys the inferior one. So, yes, they also know that Higgins is most likely for jurors to latch on to. Yes. And they're building a better story around him. Yes, we'll see that. When I heard they brought her in and I heard this was coming back up, I was really worried that they're going with this fucking, I still think this is an awful strategy, but I get it. I guess what they think is best. And if the jurors come out and say, we're like, oh my God, I believed it, I'll eat crow.
I think you would said something else.
and then that right there is John O'Keefe with the hat.
Okay. There's a ball cap.
Correct.
And on the video, as we're looking at it, it's to the right up the top. It's to the right of the PM chyron there. up
Right to the
top of
right of-
screen.
Correct. Sorry.
If we can continue to play. Stop. What do you see?
So I see John giving Karen a kiss on the forehead.
Is that what you saw that night?
I did. I was looking right at them when it happened.
You were facing them.
I was facing them.
And what about Mr. Higgins? Where was he facing?
It appears that he's facing them as well.
That happened right in front of him.
That's what it looks like.
If we could play for.
Guys, David from MLS.
Okay, you can stop.
Hello, David. David says, I'm not watching. Thank you, David. Guys, you can find over at Making Law Simple. He's got all kinds of stuff going on. And we'll do some Lego stream coming up after Karen reads over. I'm going to set it up so we go do some Legos this summer. But yes, guys, doing it. Is the video from 87? Yeah. But thank you, David, for the super chat. Thank you for stopping by. Another friend of the show, chat.
And we can take that down. Now, that night, did you have any information about the nature of Karen Reed's previous interactions with Brian Higgins?
None whatsoever.
Okay. How long did you stay at the waterfall? Or if you recall about what time you got ready to leave?
I believe things wrapped up around midnight.
And with whom were you leaving around midnight?
So my husband and Matt McCabe stayed behind. They were helping the band clean up and stuff. So it was myself, Jennifer McCabe, and Karen Reed that walked out together.
Okay. And you've previously seen video footage of the end of the night with yourself, Karen, and Jennifer McCabe sort of in a grouping?
Correct.
Excuse me, I'm sorry that I just need to clear my throat. I hope that's the
okay.
last time.
That's okay.
Did you see on that same video at the same time, there's a grouping in another area of the bar at the same time?
Correct.
And do you recall who was in that grouping?
I believe it was Chris Albert, Brian Albert, and Brian Higgins.
Okay. Could we now publish again Exhibit 22? And I'd like from the approximate start time of 11:57 and 42 seconds. And if we could hit play, Mr. Wolf. Oh, I'll tell you what, stop it for a sec. Thank you. Could you zoom in, please, on the right portion of that video, the upper right? We'll start with that. Okay. So this is the start of this clip. It looks to be 11:57 and 38. Do you see anybody in that clip that you recognize?
Yes. So I am the person with the jacket with the fur around the hood, and Karen Reed is the other woman that I'm talking to.
Right. We could play that, Mr. Wolf. And right now, do you recognize anybody else in the background of that?
So to the right in the plaid shirt is my husband, Nicholas.
Okay. What about over your left shoulder?
So over my left shoulder
did she
is
just call him?
John O'Keefe.
And does that appear to be his back?
Correct.
Okay. Can we play? And he was in, stop for a second. He was in your line of vision at that point, correct?
Correct.
What does he appear to be doing?
He appears to be like paying a tab or something like that, or maybe getting a drink. I'm not sure.
Okay. And do you see him looking in a particular direction right now?
He looks to be looking over his left.
Continue to play. Oh, if we could pause for a second. I neglected to ask you to point out with the pointer.
I'm sorry.
We might as well use it.
Okay.
If you could point to yourself first.
Okay. So that's me.
All right. Karen.
That's Karen.
And John O'Keefe.
That's John.
Okay. Continue to play, Mr. Wolf. Stop. Back up just a sec. Oh. I'll tell you when to start. Yep. Play. Stop. Okay. Do you see what direction John O'Keefe is facing now?
He's looking to the left.
Okay. Keep going. Keep going. Stop. What direction is he facing now?
To the left.
And what is over to the left?
I believe that's where the other group of men are located, perhaps.
Okay. Keep playing. And I'd like to run this to 11:58:25. Stop. At this point, his whole body is turned to the left, correct?
Correct.
And he appears to be facing where the other group of men were?
I'm sorry, repeat that?
He appears to be facing in the direction of where the other group of men were?
Correct.
Continue to play, all through until 11:58:25. Okay, that's perfect. Now, keeping the video up, I'd like to now scroll over to the left side of the screen, and we're going to start that at 11:57:42, the same approximate time we started the previous.
Yes, this is where that happens.
Stop. Okay. You've previously described the other three men. Are you able to identify them on this video now in this still frame clip?
I believe I am able.
And who do you see?
I see Chris Albert, Brian Higgins, and Brian Albert.
And which one is which?
Chris Albert is the one that grabbed Brian Higgins' arm, and Brian Albert is with his back towards us.
Okay, now I'll ask you to use the pointer and point to Chris Albert, please.
That's Chris Albert.
On the right. Where's Brian Higgins?
That's Brian Higgins.
In the middle?
Yeah, in the middle. And that's Brian Albert,
Okay.
I believe.
And with regard to Brian Higgins, which direction is he facing?
He's facing the left.
He's facing to the left?
I mean, I'm sorry, he's facing to the right.
Okay. And the direction that he's facing in, who's over there?
Sustained.
What is over there? Is that the direction of the bar?
Just we'll see where it
Sustained.
goes. I don't know where it's going yet all the way.
Continue to play, please. Stop. Did you see he grabbed his arm a second time?
Correct.
And Brian Higgins is facing in which direction this time?
He's facing the bar area.
Continue to play, please. Okay. You noticed some motion that Brian Higgins made?
He waved his
Back
arm.
it up for a second, Mr. Wolf, please. Stop. Did you see a motion?
He put his left arm up.
Okay. Appeared to be summoning somebody?
Sustained.
Continue to play. I'm sorry, Your Honor. Continue to play. I'll bear that in mind. Okay, we can stop there. Ms. Kolakithis, did you see how many times Brian Higgins motioned with his arm?
Sustained. The Commonwealth versus please, Mr.
Understood. Now, prior to this night, had you known or been aware of Chris Albert?
Just knew him from seeing him at D&E Pizza.
Okay, and you say you've seen him at D&E Pizza in what capacity?
I think he's the owner there at D&E Pizza, and we've gotten pizza there before.
And you've been in that establishment before?
Correct.
And with regard to Brian Albert, have you had any interaction with him, either that night or before?
So that night, I was introduced to him, and I think I even spoke to him a little bit there, and then maybe saw him like a basketball game. I don't remember him really prior to that night.
Okay. Now, I'd like to play the portion of the video where you are then leaving and ask you some questions about that. Yes, I think we can zoom out and perhaps hit play, Mr. Wolk, at this point. And pause for a sec. If you could use the pointer and just point out again where you are at this point.
That is me.
All right. And are you able to see Karen at that point?
She's right there.
Okay. And what about Jen McCabe? Are you able to see her at that point?
I'm not sure.
Okay. All right. Continue to play, please. And stop for a sec. I should have asked you, if you do see Jennifer McCabe enter the picture, could you alert us?
Okay.
Continue to play.
There's John in the back still drinking. No, they never did a rape kit on John.
When you can turn the lights back on. When you were leaving the establishment, whom did you leave with?
So again, it was myself, Jennifer McCabe, and Karen.
Did anything unusual occur when you were leaving?
So as we were leaving, Jen went over to Karen, kind of put her arm around her, and she started saying, "You're coming with me, you're coming with me." And Karen's like, "Huh? Like what? Like where are we going?" And
I'm going to sustain the objection.
first part of that answer, the putting your arm around her, you're coming with me. Why did that stand out in your memory?
Just because I was there too, and it just was strange. It was just like, you're coming with me. Like, it was just something that stood out to me.
You weren't included.
I mean, no, it's fine. I mean, it was just stood out, you know? Yeah.
Did Karen go?
Well, translation.
No, she did not.
Jen was a complete bitch, and she was shocked that she was being so nice to Karen. That's the translation.
What did you see her do?
So then, out of the clear blue, thinking that Karen was going to go with Jen, I see Karen with John.
And where did you see Karen with John?
I saw them just as I was parked across Washington Street, across from the restaurant, and I just saw Karen and John like walking down towards what used to be Amber Road, a place.
It used to be Amber Road?
It used to be Amber Road, yeah.
Is that a Amber Road cafe?
Correct. It was like a restaurant. It was like a little cafe shop.
And did you figure out why they were walking in that direction?
That's where I think Karen had parked her car.
Did you have any concerns about Karen being able to drive that night?
I had talked to her all night, and I did not notice anything strange about her. Like, I didn't think anything of it.
And once you parted ways, where did you go?
I went in my car.
And what was your last image of seeing Karen and John that night?
It was just them walking towards the car.
If I may have a moment, Your Honor.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Mr. Brennan?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Was your last image of Karen and John, both of them walking to the car and Karen walking to the driver's side door of that car?
Correct.
That night it was a celebratory mood?
Correct.
Everybody was getting along fine?
Yes, we were. Yes.
You were speaking to the defendant for some time?
Most of the time. Correct.
You saw her at points hugging Jen McCabe?
Correct.
You knew John.
I did.
He was a kind man?
Very kind.
Generous?
Very generous.
Thoughtful?
Very thoughtful.
Soft-spoken?
Yes.
That night was particularly different. He was extraordinarily proud and happy, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
And you could see him emote about his accomplishment that his daughter got into private school.
Correct.
Did you talk to John that night?
I did.
No further questions. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Kolakithis, you are all set.
Okay. Thank you.
So why don't I see counsel regarding scheduling?
So there we go, chat. There we go. Interesting how that went. John was doing everyone, chat. I'm sure John was banging all the women. So that's just kind of natural. I mean, really. Like, we all can't be surprised here. Let's see if there's any more to this. So let's see. Is a weird final question? I think you were trying to show John was happy. He's still going with the Karen was an evil bitch. And I just don't think that's going to sell. I don't think it sells the way he thinks it will. But Hank isn't the smartest guy in the world, so that's Hank's terminal problem here. So
I'm going to talk to the lawyers about scheduling. I'm actually going to send you back to the room and bring you back. We will definitely be out of it by 1 o'clock, so short. And if they could just call, they could just be back in 10 minutes and we'll bring you right back. So.
All right, so court, please.
well, what are they? So they're going to come back? All right, chat. Hold on here. Got to fix one thing I'm working on here. All right, let's see what we got. Katrina on the waves. They did good. Let's see if they. Well, here we go. Good. We got some discussion, chat. Oh, come on. Let's go. Wait, did they really just hang out to adjourn again? Really? Well, that's kind of weak. So, let's see here. So the Thursday night show is tonight, right? No, chat. The Thursday night show is tomorrow. I messed that up. Oh, no. I messed up, chat. I am sorry. That was a little dumb on my part. So, my bad. My bad.
Going back inside, please be seated.
All right, jurors, I just realized that I probably made you go downstairs and up twice to just come back shortly. I'm sorry I inconvenienced you that way, but we were able to talk. I am assured not only are we on schedule, we are ahead of schedule. I understand tomorrow is supposed to be very hot. Court officers are concerned about how we're going to keep the fans and air conditioners going and be allowed to hear the witnesses. I've talked to the lawyers. Everybody's in agreement that because we're ahead of schedule, we give you tomorrow off. All right, so.
Oh, no court tomorrow. All right.
Friday all day. So those same reminders.
All day,
do not
chat.
discuss this case with anyone. Don't do any independent research or investigation into this case. If you happen to see, hear, and read anything about this case, please disregard it and let us know. And be careful with your social media use. We'll see you on Friday.
All right.
All right. Wow. Well, that's a little different. They're getting tomorrow off, chat. Now, I don't see how this is possible. Karen Reed apparently told everybody today, the reporters, that this was going to be they'll be done by Tuesday. I don't see how that happens. I don't see how that happens.
Is there anything anybody needs to raise with me at this point?
No, Your Honor.
Okay.
She's like, do you need anything from me? She's like, good, I'm going to get a margarita.
It's denied. Okay.
Wait,
I just
what
saw
did they
that
ask
was
for?
the one that was still outstanding.
Well, who asked for what?
Okay. Thank you all. We'll see you Friday morning.
Hold on, what was this?
It's with me at this point.
No, Your Honor.
Okay. It's denied.
Okay. Do you
I
know
just saw that was the one that was still outstanding.
Yeah, ARCA's going to be days on end.
Okay. Thank you all. We'll see you Friday morning.
I mean, they still got their cell phone guy. They have their dog guy, unless they've changed up what they're going to do. They've got their dog guy, their cell phone guy. Then they got the crash duddies. I don't see how they do this. I don't see how they get this done in 4 days or in a couple of days. Like, they need tomorrow. Yeah, the police protocol expert was denied, yes, but I still think they should be, at this point, they should be allowed to use that. But I don't see how you get dog expert, phone expert, because phone expert's going to get hammered. And then the two ARCA boys. You're going to get this done by Tuesday in 3 days? I think the ARCA guys are going to be close to getting 3 days on their own. Karen's just trolling the state, yes. The crash daddies. Yes, the crash daddies. Yes, making seat pans moist all over the country. That was the motion that was denied. Oh, okay. Thank you, Duchess. I appreciate that. Yeah, you also need their ME. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, their ME too. And they had the ME that was like the guy from Ireland, wasn't he, last time? I forget. But even then, this, Dr. Russell did a pretty good job describing some of the pathology there too. Yeah, the ARCA guys could be a week. I don't know about that, but yeah, it's going to be a lot. You just laugh so bad. Well, there you go. Now you know it was funny. Chugi Show says, I like how you appreciate everyone just being here. Oh my God. Yeah. Well, thank you for the super chat. But yeah, if you guys weren't here, this would be really fucking boring. It'd be awful. I appreciate everybody here. Whether you're here having fun or you're trolling, you're here. I mean, I appreciate the company. I'm glad you guys can have some entertainment too while you're doing this. Jim Cox says, if you could do it all over again, would you still be friends with Jennifer McCabe? Ooh, that's a rough question. Brandon, let's go, Brandon. How you doing, buddy? It's good to see you. It says, homies out here doing the Lord's work, dog and badge bunnies, especially the married ones. Shout out Bella's mom. Yes, he is. He's slinging that dick. Oh, very true. David says, I'm still not watching. Thanks, David. Making Law Simple has been a member for a month. Says MLS probably out there getting donged by horses. Well, he does live up in the countryside of Michigan. It gets lonely up there. A man and a horse. Dolly for $2 says, happy birthday. Thank you, Dolly. Thank you. Do court bunnies exist? Not that I know of. Not that I know of. My cat's name is Karen. 2 people shouldn't need a week, should they? I mean, Welcher and Burgess took almost 3 days on their own. Total. It was like 3 days total with them. So I could see it happening. I mean, that's going to be where Karen basically either lives or dies. This today was a good day. Karen came out of this looking pretty good. This was a good day for the defense. They didn't hit home runs, but I think they brought Lucky in there, and people liked Lucky. So, Johan says they're going to need at least 3 more weeks to explain what the Canton cops ordered at Denny's. Thank you for that. We don't need to think about what's going to happen there. Yes. Bella's mom has got it going on. You know, Brian Higgins, can't you see that Karen's not the girl for me? Jen's not got it on. I'm in love with Bella's mom. You know what a Reebok store discount gets you in Canton? Yeah. David milks horses. Hey, somebody's got to do it. Bella's mom has no gag reflex. Yes. Yes. I think you're going to be done by thinking you're going to be done by Tuesday means no Karen testifying. Thank fucking God. Yeah, she ain't testifying. She ain't that dumb. Joe Strickland says, quit lying. It's not your birthday. I know. It's not my birthday. Patty B says, I thought it was since it was the defense case, Bev would give them a lot of leeway because it's their case. It seems like she's letting Hank do whatever the hell he wants. Well, that's because Bev is a hack. Bev is a scumbag. That's what's happening. But yes, I thought so too. But Bev is a scumbag. Do I think overall positive or negative for the Commonwealth today? It wasn't a negative. They didn't lose points, but Karen made points today. A handful of points. Karen inched closer to, I think, looking good in front of the jurors. Tim says, more than a day of ARCA, looks like they're trying to make shit up. I don't know. I think it's going to take them probably at least a day to pick apart. I mean, I'd like to think they're smarter than Welcher and they just go, this guy's a tard. But it's going to take them a little while to pick Welcher apart and then go through their own testing. Bowling for sandwiches, yes. There's nothing wrong with Ohio except the sun and the rain. Yes. Jimmy Cave hit the wall. She never had it all. John O'Keefe slamming her all day. Her husband's a CPA. Her dreams went out the door when she found out Karen was a whore. Oh, there we go. Do you think Karen will take the stand? God, no. God, no. I hope not. Bella says, my mom has Alzheimer's, so she probably loves you too. Aw. Until she forgets. And then she'll love me again. Yeah, so you guys think David works for Glock? Yes, that's what we're implying. What time does the casino come on for the early show they announced? I don't know what time they come on early. So they're on already? Wow. Like they're in show or they're on? Oh. Karen is not hot. She's just thin. I understand, but it's part of the song. So we gotta My thing is wrong. It was close enough. TV is a Turtle Boy's a big flirt. Does Arca have blue paint? They have thermite paint. The Arca guys are definitely more likable. Yes, they are. Is Karen slutty? No, but I think Jen probably calls Karen a slut. I don't know why you'd slap his penis at a Jen McCabe. Hey, any port in a storm, man. So, does Brian Higgins have a leaky butt fetish? Maybe. They are right on. They are on right meow. Well, they're ripping items a new one. Okay. Well. Anyway, chat. We are done. Overall, this was a good day for Karen. I mean, I think she got a chance. So we'll leave that here till Friday. So tomorrow night, if you guys are new, there's 415 of you here, so I'm thinking some of you are new. Tomorrow night, we have the Thursday night show, the Thursday night crime stream, cover all kinds of topics that are going on, chat. There's a bunch of interesting things that have happened this week. There's a judge in Bermuda who, during the middle of a murder trial, said a lot of creepy stuff. We're going to get to that. There's some big setbacks with the Second Amendment cases that were pending in the Supreme Court. One of the tour swats people who was swatting up Mr. Medicare and whatnot, got sent to prison. We're going to be covering the Egyptian guy doing his gasoline attack. We're going to cover the Chinese people smuggling in some creepy funguses and blights into America. Totally not terrorism or an act of war, but hey. And then kind of one of the more interesting things, the YSL trials are wrapping up. The main YSL trials are over. And nobody got charged with the murders that they were crowing about. It's like Fannie Willis ended those with a mouse fart. So, is it a creepy judge? Oh, yeah. Yes. Torgo, send me a link to that. I'll take a look at it. Interesting. Amateur Iconoclast gifted wide sob. Thank you, Amateur Iconoclast. Yes, guys, it is 9:30 on Thursday night. No, we're not doing it tonight, guys. Tomorrow night. I forgot today is Wednesday. So, did the SCOTUS take an actual criminal procedure case for once, though? Yes, they did. We'll talk about that one. Turtle Boys live in 30 minutes. Well, in the meantime, chat, in about 10 minutes, we are going to go live over on Members Only. And guys on YouTube here for Members Only chat. We are going to celebrate the anniversary of Uncle Marv. That's right, chat. Marvin Heemeyer, the Granby Go-Getter, and the Killdozer. Yes, today's the anniversary of the Killdozer. We're going to cover that. We'll talk about that tonight. And then later on, after that chat at around probably about 10 o'clock or so, over on Locals. And guys, you can follow us over on Locals at potentiallycriminal.locals.com. Use the promo code SUMMERTIME 2025, and you guys could join us because at there we'll watch Tread. That's right, chat. Tread, the documentary about Uncle Marv doing his thing. We'll be covering that and having fun. So if you guys want to join us, we will do that. Let me see here. Chicom's trying to make clickers. So that is what we'll be doing, chats. Like I said, we got a little bit of fun full tonight, and we're going to wrap this up. I think I've caught up everything here. Oh, Brewberries is a new member again, re-upping. Thank you, Brewberries. I appreciate your support as always. If you guys need to get your boobs done in Australia, Brewberries is your place to go. Get in touch with her. She'll hook you up. You got ungreened, yeah. So, guys, we'll do it. It'll be a fun time. And yeah, we are all set. We are all set, chat. One last thing I wanted to do was our show sponsors. We've got our show sponsors, the dragonstreasure.com. Use the promo code criminal. Get you 10% off, chat. That's right. 10% off your coffee, your tea, and the soaps. Help T-Man crush it. He's had a big month. Thanks to you guys. Big month, big support for T-Man. Helped him out a lot. Help him make a big month. He could use it. MAF Corporation, MAF-arms.com. Pop Trim gets 10% off store-wide. And then Stoney's, as always, chat out 1580 Broadway Street in Rockville, Minnesota. You know, your number one biker bar in central Minnesota. Check them out. Check them out, chat. Home of the $2.50 cans on Thursdays. Yes. Get in touch with Brewberry so she can touch your boobs. Yes. All right, chat. So we are all done. I will, we'll see you guys tomorrow for the Thursday show. And I think we'll just take off. Relax, guys. Relax during the day. Get caught up on stuff. We'll get into the Thursday show. I'm not sure I don't think we'll do anything Thursday night early ahead of time. I'm not sure yet. Probably not. If I do, I'll change my mind and let you know. In the meantime, chat, just plan on the Thursday show, and we'll get back at it Friday. And then Friday on the weekend, we've got some stuff to cover. There are some things with Smash JT and Alyssa Mercanti. There's some updates to Patrick Tomlinson. Chili DeCastro is writing again in the news. So there's a lot of stuff to cover. We're gonna be busy this weekend. We're gonna be busy this weekend. So chat, I will see you guys later. And remember, until next time, just because you did it does not mean you're guilty. Especially Karen Reed. Still not guilty, chat. Still not guilty. Aaron says, if uncomfortable, don't answer. Well, it's too late. It's a super chat, so I got to do it. Is Pega see you next Tuesday? And did the rolling rally mean TB was guilty of it? No, I don't think Turtle Boy's guilty of anything. I think he was just a little aggressive and acted a little arrogant. But no, at the end of the day, no, he didn't do anything wrong. I don't think he did anything wrong. Snoop says, do I want to cover Kiev? Oh no, that would put him on the shit list. I mean, the Ukrainians, they did a brilliant job of blowing up most of Russia's strategic air assets. I will give them credit. It was a masterful plan. It took them 18 months to set it up. And yes, they basically crippled the air element of the nuclear triad for Russia. So they did a good job. Is Kiev getting tuned up right now? Well, there you go. It's what you get. It's what you get. Hydrosphere 13 is a new member. Thank you for the support. Big support. Turtle Boy did wrong stuff, but just not criminal. Well, yeah, maybe, like I said, would I do it that way? No. But does he deserve to go to prison for it? No, at all. Oh, no. Jim is saying, is that stuff in Ukraine real? Do we know what is real or not? Oh, I'm pretty sure it was real. I've seen the Maxar images. Some Russian heavy bombers got fucking roasted, man. Not a good thing. Not a good thing. They blew up next to nothing. Once again, Sean blows the Pentagon propaganda. Okay. Well, anyways, chat, we're all done. See you tomorrow night. Kieran Reed, still not guilty, guys. Not even close. Still not close. And I will see you guys over in members only in about 10 minutes, chat. Take care, you guys.
Weapons, blacksmithing, and models of planes, esoteric works, and even some trains. Much merriment had while drinking White Claws. Tips on hunting.
Because I want to do both tonight. We're going to do a local show and a members only show.
And even talking the law. Whatever you do, just don't talk to cops. Even when they nab you on illegal stops. Just cause you did it doesn't mean you're guilty. But please talk to a local attorney. Was that the fat guy Rick hated yelled at? Why, yes it was, he even knows he's fat. For all the
Jim Cox! Jim Cox right there, chat. Jim Cox with 10 subs! Let's go, chat! Let's go! Big support tonight. Let's get over to the members only chat. Let's freebird this. Thank you, Jim, for your support. Just crushing these grays out. Crushing them out like a monster truck. Just running them out of there. Just running them out of there. Good stuff. All right, chat. Good night.
Oh, there's one place